Let's get started.
Now let's get it all in perspective. We did it like that, and now we do it like this.
Do not attempt to adjust your dial. I'm transmitting live. Yo,
Let's get down to business.
Now let's get it all in perspective. We did it like that, and now we do it like this.
All right.
for the underground world, every street and borough.
You may learn something.
You are now listening to the Joe Rogan Experience with Chico, Simon, Kamar, and your host, Matt Floyd.
Welcome to the Joe Rogan Experience. My name is Pizza, joined as always by...
Welcome to the party.
I said bye. You were supposed to say bacon and eggs.
Bacon and
there
eggs.
we go. And bread and butter.
And the food that gets everyone through prison. Bread and butter.
What we do here is very simple. The three of us have listened to every episode of the Joe Rogan Experience this week. We're going to rate each episode as well as the week on a scale of 1 to 5 Jamie Vernons. We're then going to talk about each guest, the talking points, give our opinions, this, that, and the next. But first, Kamar is going to read off the new Patreons.
Thank you, Brother Matt. Hello, new listeners. Thank you for returning listeners, all alike. This week we had a couple new Patreons, and we welcome the team just like every other week. First off, I want to give a big shout out to TJ Harrington. I don't know if he's related to TJ Hooker.
I don't know why, but when that came up, I just pictured a pro poker player.
I believe TJ was a Patreon before, though. It feels like a familiar
Okay.
name, and I just want to say welcome back, TJ. And then a big shout out to Jordan L.
Jordan L., what up?
But it's Jordan L,
Yeah, I got you.
not Jordan L.
Yeah, Jordan L.
Right on. Thank you to all the Patreons. 53 episodes of this did not throw back. Age well.
This did not
Throwback
throw
episode
back.
and the post show every week. You guys are the best.
You know what? I never ever bring this up, and I see it happen all the time, and it never bothers me. But we lost a patron this week. That hurt. I don't want to call them out because that's just a terrible thing to do. But they were a long time supporter of the show, and I feel like we lost them, so it hurts.
But they just left in the night?
Well, I mean, I get to see all the deleted pledges,
Yes.
so
But they didn't say, fuck you, I'm out of here?
No, but I haven't seen them comment on anything in a while either, and just feels like maybe we let them down.
In all fairness, I get sick of you guys. I get sick of myself.
Oh, thanks, Simon.
No, but I can only imagine how people must feel about us.
Nothing but props to Patreons, and to that one Patreon especially, whatever we did wrong
We
to
miss
lose
you. We miss you.
Sorry.
I'm sure it had to do with female boxers, if anything.
No, she's still around. She's great, actually.
No, I'm saying, not her.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I got you.
Well, we can't dwell too much time on the lost,
No, of course.
forgotten Patreons.
No, we're just happy to
Current
have new
Patreons,
ones.
you guys are the
Exactly.
best.
And anyone that's still here, we love
Listeners that don't pay, you're second best, and so forth and so
you.
on.
I don't agree with that. Real quick before we start, I want to give all the shout-outs where they're due. Jordan Knight for helping out with all the audio shit lately.
And the dartboard.
And the dartboard, yeah. Tyler Duvall for the movie game Jingle. Go check him out on Instagram. It's at Tyler Duvall. And, of course, Ghetto Socks for making the original. So anyone that's ever helped us out with this thing, thank you so much.
Takes a village.
That's it. Do you want to tell me how your week was, Kamar?
I have been obsessed with the Icelandic volcano.
In what sense? You've just been watching a live stream of it?
There's live stream, and there's this one guy who goes up there. He's with Iceland News. He's so annoying. It's almost comical.
Okay.
But he does his interview with a drone. It's 4K, so the footage is amazing. But
Didn't someone fly a drone into it accidentally the other day?
yes,
Yeah, I saw
yes.
that. Yeah.
Well, that one person had lots of drones. But what's interesting is you can watch with great documentation from this thing popping through the earth 2 months ago, whatever, to all of a sudden there's kilometers of lava. It's reshaping the world. It blows my mind that it's seems like volcanoes were a thing of the past. Does that make sense?
I mean, no, but I guess I know what you're saying.
We think almost like a volcano is like a novelty, but it's the most amazing thing on the planet, the new planet coming up. The fact that, do you know that the mantle is 5 kilometers thick or whatever, and 2% of the planet? And everything else is molten lava in the middle. Again, I don't know how that makes two cold poles, but it's just so real and really happening, and there's nothing anyone can do to stop a volcano.
Nope,
Much like a tsunami.
that's true.
But yeah, I've just been balls deep in this volcano, and they've had to move further and further back because before they could film right beside it, and now the lava's just taken over. And it's pretty. I don't know. My week's been watching a volcano.
Interesting. Simon, what about you, buddy?
I mean, it's hard to follow that up, right?
Volcanoes?
All that volcano
It's tough.
talk.
Yeah, it's tough.
Jesus. My week was okay. You know when you're like I was driving over here and you're just on autopilot?
Yeah.
Just, things around you are happening and simulation flying by you. And I pull up to the light and there's this guy dressed all in white, and he's got a giant white box on his back. And on the box are rolls of white toilet paper. And he has a smiley face mask on. And I just thought, well, there's the proof that we're not in the simulation. This is like
No one could design
that
that.
randomness of just
NPC.
being on the planet, So fucking weird, though. What was that all about? I wanted to pull over and ask him, but I didn't want to,
You didn't want to. I mean, then there was actual proof that we were or were not in a simulation, and you didn't need that.
I didn't want to interact with this guy. If he's walking around with a giant box on his back with toilet paper on it, I don't really want to know why, I guess.
Fair enough. So that was your week.
No, that was just today.
Okay.
My week was fine. Whatever, man. I actually listened to us for the first time
Right out of podcast?
in a little while.
How was the show?
Did not care for myself.
That's how I feel every show.
Yeah. No,
I wish you said I did not care for Kamar. I was.
whatever. Anyways, yeah. So,
What is it? Your voice, your opinions?
I feel like
You push the CIA thing a bit too hard.
now I feel like you're just taking this opportunity to insult me.
Oh, the guy last week who was like, Matt couldn't fight because Matt's not good enough. He's not tall
He can't
enough.
insult you if you're in the middle of insulting yourself. So maybe it's a big up.
Well, let me get there. Anyway, no, I just, I don't know. Maybe too
You're great, Simon. The listeners love you.
quick to jump on Kamar. So I'm going to try and slow that roll down.
Don't. You're going to make me cry.
No,
Don't.
that doesn't mean I'm not going to disagree with you. I just
No
need
words.
to take like that 10 seconds to formulate the right hate in my mind,
Okay.
Then I'll get it out there. But I just, I found there was a lot of, I found myself arguing for no reason. Too much arguing for no reason.
There's not enough stuff going on. All we can do is come in here and vent everything. This is our dojo.
So, yeah. Anyways.
Gotcha.
Also, they say the sun, the core of the earth is hotter than the sun.
See, I want to argue that right away. I don't know why.
He didn't say it, though. He said they say.
They, him. It's all coming out of his mouth.
I'm not responsible for that. But if the earth were to cool down, we're done.
Yeah, I would assume that's how it works.
And the only reason it's staying so hot and going is it's of the spinning of the earth, keeps the gravity, puts the pressure on this molten to stay just goopy liquid, and it also creates a magnetic barrier around the earth to keep asteroids out.
The more you know.
But I don't know how they actually know this.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
And
Thank you,
that's
Simon.
what they mean by Goldilocks, right? Like, so many things had to go right just so we had gravity, just so we had oxygen that we were
Get
able
to a
to breathe.
huge
like-
molten core. That's crazy.
And if it's true that the world is actually spinning at however many miles an hour all the time, and you don't feel it, that's pretty fucking amazing. Like, no?
It's more amazing than the earth being flat.
But it's not that you don't feel
And
it.
this is happening, like you're going around and it's going around and things are all happening out in the universe, like
Did I mention the molten core that's also spinning a bit faster than the earth?
inside us.
Inside us. Come on.
I mean, how many things can spin at one time?
And how do they
Enough
know
to make
to
it all
spin?
work, Simon.
Enough to make it all work. That's the answer.
It's just a miracle.
Like, what was I complaining about the other day?
Is that an
about,
accent attempt, Kumar? I like that.
It's a miracle.
about the
It'll change.
the scientists. What's that saying they say?
I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about.
Die laughing.
Whatever.
How's your week, Matt?
My week was okay. My week was okay.
I gotta say, I'm looking forward. I'll talk about the post show, but the Euros start on Friday.
Oh, I'm so amped.
It's. I mean, the sports has been happening. Have you been watching any playoffs?
Yeah, basketball.
Isn't it hilarious? Steve Nash. Is
What
it
do you
Steve
mean, that's
Nash
the
or
head
Rick
coach?
Nash? Yeah.
Yeah.
What's he doing? Every time the camera goes on him, he's like texting girls or whatever. Because their team is so good. Do you watch it at all?
You want to know what's crazy about their team? The big three only played 202 regular season minutes together.
Oh no, whether it's put together and that's not a purest thing to do, it doesn't. I don't care.
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm just saying, like, it's insane their chemistry in the playoffs, given that in the entirety of the regular season,
yes,
the three of them were only on the court for 202
It's
minutes.
not like they've played all season to grind.
No,
here.
that's what I'm saying. Forget that.
They punch in like the sheepdog.
It's insane. It's
And
fucking
Looney
nuts.
Tunes.
Yeah.
But then I watched the Phoenix Suns destroy the Lakers, and it was so crazy to like identify someone you never heard of. Like, that guy's so good. I've never heard
Devin
of him.
Booker's incredible.
Incredible.
Yeah.
So
They had a photo of him when he was like super young at LeBron's camp in like 2017 or whatever. And
they're all LeBron spawn. What a good feeling of him to dethrone the king.
there you go.
But it's been a good distraction. But this Euro is going to be just make summer feel like it's going on. I hope they don't have too many people in the stands.
Simon, you realize the plastic's not there and we can see your disdain right now?
He's not a jock like us.
I'll just let everyone know it's like 35 degrees Celsius for our American listeners. It's about 95 degrees in here. There is a fan lightly running. Simon's obviously very warm. The Euros, I'm super amped. Simon, do you have a pick for the Euros since it's going to start next week?
No, I couldn't even tell you who's.
Say European country.
I'll say Portugal. How about that?
It's a safe pick.
You picked a top five. Kamar, you went last week with
Croatia. I'm gonna.
You're
stick
sticking
with,
with
that.
Croatia. Okay.
It was the last year that groups together. That
So
went
Japan's
far.
going forward with the Olympics. Have you heard this?
I think they have to. They spent so much.
I think
fucking
they're
bread.
freaking out. They think they are.
It's in a month.
That's crazy.
But
I think it's also a good.
And Japan is still on lockdown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think for them, they're like, this could be a good chance for us to sweep the Olympics.
I mean, with a giant asterisk.
But they were saying that the Olympics, 10,000 volunteers quit, and Olympics has to run with 80,000 volunteers. Yet the IOC makes so much money. Like, there's a disconnect. The Olympics is the biggest scam ever.
Oh, it's insane.
With the slavery, the exploitation of the
Yeah.
athletes, and then the backroom deals with all the guys. Like, it's really not good.
No. Anyway, we should probably do what we actually do here. You want to run down the guest
Oh,
list for us?
one
Kamar?
last thing I want to say. I said it in the post, Joe, but this residential school thing is very bad.
Oh, yeah. It's a big problem.
I've
Our
never-
country is just
I've
fucking
never
messed
felt
up.
this way before in my life, but it's just a horrible feeling. And to anyone out there, you have my full support. And it's the first time I've ever been like, this is egregious. And I actually, like, John A. McDonald, you know what I mean? Like, I think we might have to cancel him.
I thought you were against canceling people.
This is crazy.
It's
If we look
egregious,
into
that's
what
for
they're
sure.
talking
Oh,
about,
I know.
and like, we know someone personally who went to a residential school.
Joe Buffalo.
So thank God, like, they're all right. But they were talking this morning about all these kids telling stories and no one believing them.
Yeah.
And now we're here. So I don't believe in cancel culture, but there's got to be a reckoning somehow. And it's so far removed, it's hard to point the finger, but this is bad.
I think the bare minimum, and I mean the absolute bare minimum our country could do at this point, would be to start taxing the church, because they're a big part of this, and then hang the flag at half-mast one day for each victim. It's going to be a few years, but whatever.
This is one school. Anyway, this is the worst news ever. And I just touched on the post, Joe, but it's bad.
Oh, yeah, it's terrible. Okay, now can we start the show?
Sure we can. What a week. What a week. What a week. We have our worst thing ever when he drops a Saturday. Do we love when he drops Saturday? And it's Tom Papa?
Felt like the simulation with the whole bread and butter thing.
It was a cruel joke, but we start off the week.
Someone on the Reddit was like, well, now it's official. We're definitely living in Simon's simulation.
Yeah, right?
And I was like, yep, I need no further.
You
I need
are
no
all
further
just
proof.
players in this weird
Yeah.
life.
So can you start like actually hoping good things for this podcast then? Because that would be super
Oh,
cool.
that's
Because
interesting.
it involves me.
Imagine if that really was the case. Like, I never even thought about
If
that.
you are in control,
Yeah, I got to think about like the people I've
Like,
wished
think about-
ill upon and like what's happened to them long term. and-
Simon, think about Vanilla Sky. Remember, like maybe you just need to call. What was it that he had to yell out? Maintenance? No.
Maintenance.
Rosebud.
Remember there was like some thing that he yelled out, and then everything stopped, and the guy came in and was like, "You control all this. You can do whatever you want."
I don't even remember watching that movie, Maddie, to tell you
Hope
the
good
truth.
things for us. Okay, go through them. Sorry, Kumar.
We start off with Make My Day Junior, 1659, Scott Eastwood, Easy on the Eyes.
You're 1 week off on your B-list celebrity.
Followed by 1660, Quit Will Your Head, David Lee Roth, Diamond Dave, The Gigolo. Followed by the podcast of the week, I think we'll all agree at the end of this, 1661, Rick Doblin, the actual head of maps. And we finish off 1662, no bearing the lead here, Tom Papa and his bread.
It's going to be a tough rating. I think we'll start with Simon. He looks poised to rate it right away.
Who was first?
Scott Eastwood.
Terrible. Who was second?
David Lee Roth.
Terrible. Who was third?
Maps.
Rick Doblin.
Amazing.
Dick Doblin. He should change his
And
name.
then bread and butter. Let's go with a 275.
Very generous.
Is that generous? I can go lower.
I don't know. We'll see when it comes out in the wash, but I give it 2.5.
I give the week a 2, and it was heavily weighted down. So,
Oh, yeah. I'm
I
way
mean,
off.
heavily weighted down.
I have to go. I want to change right now.
Okay, go ahead.
2.
2, okay.
Yeah.
So Simon and I have an agreement.
I feel like I've been giving such terrible scores lately that I tried to not be that guy because I'm trying to change.
You got to stop
know?
listening.
But
You're becoming too self-aware.
There's just nothing I can do. Like if Joe's gonna fucking throw weeks like this at us.
I mean, yeah, what are you going to do? All right, well, let's start the show.
I'm so dyslexic. In my notes, I wrote 1659. Scott Eastwood,
I was going to say he's not going to get it.
SCOTTEASTWOULD.
He would.
He would. Scott East would do it if he could. 35 years old. Guess his net worth?
Guess his net worth.
7 million.
Oh, I was going to say 6.
10.
Who's the guy then who's on Hawaii 5-0?
Scott Conn.
Scott Conn.
Scott Conn. I
James
knew he
Conn's
was
son.
someone's son. I
Yeah.
knew his name was Scott. He's been on Rogan?
No.
No.
Are you sure?
He's got the biggest bum chin in the league.
Hey,
so
are you sure Scott Conn has never been on Rogan?
I'm positive.
Well, I mean, the way you're fucking saying it, you're making me
No,
double.
no, no.
You're making me second guess myself.
If I'm lying, I'm dying. That's cap. He's never been on the show.
That's
You got to tell me, because if he hasn't, then the last time Scott Eastwood was on, I was picturing Scott Conn.
Scott Conn, JRE. I don't think. You think the Eastwood son has been on before?
This Eastwood son has been on.
Has
before.
been on before.
Yeah, for
Has he?
sure.
Okay.
Khan has not been on before.
No, it doesn't. Look
This
like he
guy's
has.
easy on the eyes. He's not a bad person. He's starring in the new Guy Ritchie movie.
Just
You guys
because
seen it?
he's easy on the eyes doesn't mean he's not a bad person. I'm sorry, I don't mean to argue right off the bat, but I think that's important to state.
I was going to rent it the other night, but Mary didn't seem interested.
$30.
The heist movie? Yeah, but I have a bunch of money on my fucking iTunes account anyways.
No, it's like War of Man or something.
Oh, no, because there's a... Never mind, that's a different movie.
You're
Because
talking about the Englishman or something.
No, Guy Ritchie has a movie.
Guy Ritchie.
Yeah, Guy Ritchie. He's got a fucking movie right now, mate. It's on the fucking iTunes.
You guys are talking about the same movie. I think you just have the name wrong, Matt.
I didn't say a name. I said it's a heist movie. That's all I said. They rob an armored truck.
Well, and he didn't say it wasn't a heist movie. He just said its name was God of Man or something.
Either
No,
way,
I know that's wrong.
it's got Jason Statham. He plays like some.
Yeah, you guys are
yes,
totally
my bad.
talking about the
Yeah,
same movie.
same movie.
It's a heist movie. Yeah,
I'm with you.
Yeah,
I didn't want to pay for it.
no, it's fine.
Oh,
I
that's
was
where I
fine
was
paying
at.
for it. Oh,
Anyways,
that's fine.
did you see Chris Rock bought the sequel to? Sorry, he bought the Saw
franchise. I
franchise.
know that he's
and
in the new one.
He did a new Saw movie where it's kind of like, what's that McConaughey one there? You know, it's got that real dark feel to it.
The McConaughey one that you loved.
Yeah.
True Detective.
True Detective. Thank
Oh
you.
no, I was thinking about that terrible movie that we
Oh,
disagreed on.
no. That's an amazing movie.
Beach
Frailty.
Bum?
Frailty, yes. Frailty.
Oh, that's Bill Paxton. No.
And Matthew McConaughey.
McConaughey's in it too.
Plays
yeah.
the son.
It's a terrible
Anyway,
film.
Stop. Would you stop saying that? It's not terrible. Have you rewatched it recently?
It's one of the worst films ever made.
Okay, well, that is crazy.
no,
That's crazy.
no. That's a very.
It's a little
accurate-
corny.
Corny. There's no way you guys knew the twist on that before.
Oh, yes.
the first time.
We've had this discussion, and I said right away,
I'm not going to get into this.
no, when you're younger, it doesn't seem as obvious.
Maybe that's it. Maybe I'm wrong. You know what? New Simon. Maybe I'm
New
wrong.
Simon, New Day.
Maybe I'm wrong.
Anyway, back to Scott Eastwood.
This episode is one of those weird ones where the guest sort of interviews. Joe.
He's only on because they're hunting friends. This guy has no business on Rogan. He's got nothing.
No business? I don't know.
Zero business.
Well, Kumar called B-list celebrity.
Just for being Eastwood's son. That's his.
If he had been the
He's in
week
the
that I
movies
called
himself.
that, I would have been like,
What's a movie
Winner.
you've seen that he's in? Please. Right now. Off the top of your head. Go.
He was in with
Yeah. Yeah, totally. I saw that one. It was amazing. Let's actually use that as the movie game.
Okay. No, I can't think of.
No, but you know what I mean, Maddie? This guy has no business on here.
would you believe me if I told you he was in Pacific Rim Uprising?
I would definitely
believe
believe, that.
that.
He
Yeah.
was.
Yeah, I would totally believe that.
Would you believe me if I told you he was in The Fate of the Furious?
And I'm not saying that Scott Eastwood is a bad guy. He's probably a great dude, and he's probably an awesome guy to go hunting with. But this is just another one of like Joe's indulging Joe.
He was in Snowden.
Okay.
No, I think the point being is all his friends are Hollywood actors. I bet he's friends with Scott Conn. You know what I mean?
What?
Scott Eastwood.
Oh,
Friends with Scott
I see.
Conn.
Well, that'd be two Scotts. But my point being
Both
is
sons of famous. That probably makes sense. Actually, you'd seek out the people who are
he
most
could
similar
talk
to you
about
in
some.
Hollywood.
He could talk about some interesting stuff on movie sets or whatever, or this person. You know what I mean? But he's not going to do that.
I think that's a big faux pas in the industry.
I think we've all found that
Yeah.
that's not going to happen. His coolest stories, I think,
We're his dad.
were his dad.
But I mean, again, he didn't even get into any of those. He just got into the lore of like, you know, like, oh, we'd be at dinner and my dad would talk and everyone would.
And you know who I want to hear those stories from?
Clint Eastwood.
You got it, buddy.
I don't think we want to listen from Clint Eastwood now, though.
He's like 100, isn't he?
90.
He's 90.
I think.
He's still directing movies. I'm pretty sure he can probably still have a conversation.
Yeah. I think that would be a very slow 3 hours though. Like even on 3 times, you'd be like, did I turn this up?
Well, you know what would be good then? How about Scott Eastwood and Clint Eastwood? I'm with that.
Okay.
There's a reason why he.
So you could hold his hand through the interview, yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, Kamar's right. There was a lot of him asking Joe questions because there wasn't a lot for us to talk about with this dude.
And some interesting questions that poised from Scott Eastwood. Joe sort of candid, you know, just talking about all the people commenting on him now, and how Joe said, "I'd like if it dialed back like 30%." He was saying.
Well, then don't sign $100 million like.
I know, but I'm sure Joe's thought this will put me on a bigger platform, but I can't believe how big it is because he asked him, "What's the craziest thing that's happened to you?" And Joe wouldn't answer.
Yeah.
Do you believe that though? Do you think like? I don't know. I kind of think that Joe likes that his opinion matters now. You know.
Well,
I don't know.
Because of some silences we've seen him have, he must care a bit about how he's perceived. Could we?
I don't know if it's how he's perceived. I think sometimes he's very careful about the message that he maybe puts out there on a whim.
But sometimes we feel like he isn't.
Yeah, but I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. Like he's mentioned this a bunch of times. He talks a lot. We do this once a week. And often I go back and start editing it. And I'm like, oh my God, I don't remember saying that. That's you know what I mean? Like,
Or I can't believe I said that. What a terrible take. Like
Exactly, that happens.
Oh no, I'm with you.
So what I'm saying is most people don't have a podcast, despite Joe being like, there's a million podcasts out there. Most people don't have that. And now that we're 135 episodes in, I can 100% tell you that I agree with Joe in that, you're here for 3 hours just shooting the shit. It's not everything I say isn't set in stone. It's not necessarily.
No. I agree with that. That's not what I was saying, though. I was saying, like, I think Joe likes that now. When he decides that something's important, his voice carries weight. More weight than it did 5 years ago.
But I mean, again, he's human. Like you always think that your path is the righteous one. And therefore you always think that, whatever fight you're fighting is the good fight. And if you have the biggest microphone, then loudspeaker. I get what you're saying.
I think the beauty, and this is maybe what got lost in the Spotify shift a little bit, was that before he could pass off, this is just a stupid show. I'm just a stupid comedian who has guys I find interesting on. But like that was here and he's here now,
He does work for a company. No matter what he wants to say about I don't have bosses or whatever.
Yeah, but you know what? I agree.
I don't know.
I mean, I want to agree with that, but I just know that, like, I don't think Joe's stupid at all, despite him saying he's stupid. I get what he's saying, but he has good fucking lawyers. There's no way that he put pen to paper without his lawyers going through that with a fine-tooth comb and making sure that he had full...
And it's Joe's not stopping, that we know of. Joe's not stopping anybody from speaking their opinion on his show.
Case in point.
There you go. And he had Alex Jones on.
What do you mean?
Well, no, we're still talking about him.
He hasn't shut us down.
I didn't let you finish your sentence.
No, on his show.
Well, there is a podcast that wasn't aired. We know that. Which would be like an NFT.
What podcast is that?
I don't know. You don't remember we saying there was a podcast we did put out? Someone said something, whatever?
No, I don't remember that.
I feel vaguely like I remember it, but I don't
There
know.
is. If I'm lying, I'm dying. Do you follow?
Well, I don't think you're lying. I just think you may be mistaken.
There is a podcast out there, or more than one, that never made the air. Which
That's
would just be
interesting.
gold as the Wu-Tang Clan's album or whatever.
Well, I would love to know what the threshold is. I don't even need to hear the episode. I just want to know why.
But the real question is, did Joe pull it or did Spotify? Like, did Joe himself
this
say...
is before the Spotify deal.
Okay, well, there you go. So that's Joe himself saying, listen, and again, that's fine. I have no problem with that either. If you do an interview with someone, like imagine it's 1938 and you're doing an interview.
With Hitler?
You know what I mean? And you leave the interview and you're like, I don't really like what this guy was getting out there. I think I might just scrap this one. Like, you wouldn't have so much, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I don't
It's
know if I have
editorial.
a problem with him not putting an episode on. And especially if, maybe they did the interview and the next day the guy fucking murdered a bunch of people.
I have no problem
or
with him not putting it out there.
They found bodies in his basement.
No, I know what you're saying, but I think that, you mentioning that it was pre-Spotify is a big deal too, because it shows that it was him. You never know. Maybe Jamie's sitting over there like...
I think we've outgrown the growing pains of this changeover.
So I'm over
we
it.
sort of talked about it. What has happened has happened.
Like, think about it. It's crazy. He went to Spotify less than a year ago. He's on his second studio.
What I was thinking is, what if he just
He's
had
in a new studio already?
Yeah, he's not on the red spaceship anymore.
He isn't?
You know this.
No,
he has the
you
sign
don't know
behind him.
this.
You know
I
this.
thought that was just up in the new on the.
No.
Oh, I didn't even
Get
put two
with
and two
the
together.
program.
Yeah,
So
no.
what's his new studio
It
like?
looks
then?
like the old one a little bit without the red velour. Like, this one's just pure Texas, like wood, just wood grain.
Interesting.
It's wood grain.
I wonder what became.
And I still think
of
it's only a table for
the-
3.
You know,
Maybe it's 4.
You know what the spaceship would be good for?
Go on.
A pool table for Joe. That would be a great little pool room.
Maybe.
As long as
I
there
don't know
was
the
enough
dimensions,
clearance on the.
I think you might give it to friends of podcasts when they're down.
That's what I was thinking.
What I was just thinking is, what if the popularity for a show just waned? And it had 16 listeners a week or whatever. Like, would he still do it?
No, I think if it...
I think it's possible for it to happen, but just what if?
I think he has a threshold where he would be like, my time is no longer worth this. But I don't know. I just don't, like you said, I don't think that's a
Well,
possibility.
he'd have to do it for 3 years, anyways. He has a deal with Spotify, so
I guess it would only matter if it was pre-deal or post-deal. When the numbers matter more. Because it doesn't matter how many people listen to it.
he was spouting some pretty big numbers about Spotify in that last episode, though.
About how big they are.
Yeah.
And then Jamie corrected him. So, I mean, he actually is very interesting. He says some real
I mean, listen, all you
Incorrect information.
And the only
Tom
part
Papa.
he's leaving out of that is that, yes, they may be wherever they're got with, the equals sign, and it costs them however much money. And Apple hates it and doesn't
Yeah,
do
Apple hasn't
anything.
spent a dollar.
Hasn't spent a dime.
Yeah.
They made an icon.
Yeah.
Back to Scott Eastwood. He was talking about. It's funny how Joe talked about seeing whales, and Scott sat on his story about actually coming right up to the killer whales on the paddleboards.
Yeah.
It was sort of like a professional courtesy of listening.
Yeah.
Like
Not the one-upsmanship.
exactly.
Yeah.
But then they compared animals, and it's an interesting discussion. You can't if you see the wolf eat the rabbit, you think rabbit's cool, but the wolf's got to eat. I take whale over orca.
What does that mean? You take to eat?
No, I like whales. Orcas can die before a whale.
In the hierarchy of things that kill
Joe couldn't make up his mind because orcas can eat walruses and seals and whatnot.
I think you say that just because you've seen some vicious orca footage of them fucking up other animals.
No, something about the whale is really amazing.
Well, the orca is also a
Mammal.
mammal.
So fuck it.
No,
they're
I'm
both
saying they're both
So's
whales.
whales.
They're both whales. It's a killer whale.
And Joe in this podcast was able to commit. I'm committing right here on the air live
Yeah.
that I like whales more than killer whales.
All whales or just certain whales?
The blue whale in particular.
The
I was
blue
going to say,
whale.
so a sperm
You
whale,
have a
is that your
thing for the biggest animal on Earth
Yeah.
because you think it's got problems out there.
I don't know if it has problems with, but it's so it's a wonder of the world. More so than anything.
Yeah. That's funny that you say that. I'm taking a couple of seconds here. I'm really formulating my ideas out. Simon 2.0. I think the blue whale is one of my least favorite animals, and I'll tell you why. Because it's too big. It's got no business,
Can't show it to friends.
can't do nothing. You know what I mean? And it's just too big. It's one of those things that you look at and you're like, oh, well, this throws my whole idea of things that are alive out of whack.
It's kind of crazy that it's us, though, isn't it? That somewhere along the line, it just we kind of swam out onto the land and it just kind of stayed in the water and got fucking massive. Interesting, huh?
It's so big. It's so spectacular that exists. I can't think of anything else on the planet, save for dinosaurs, if they existed or they're not around anymore. But you know what I mean?
Listen, I don't care who the fuck you are. If I'm on a fucking paddleboard and the nicest orca in the world comes up, I am in shit my fucking pants mode. Fuck all that.
No, but I don't care
out of your
if a
element.
whale comes or an orca comes or no matter anything that comes up, I'm shitting myself.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's immediate pants
I'm not
shit.
less
Void
scared.
my bowels.
I'd be more scared of a blue whale, frankly, than a killer whale.
I mean, just the
Because,
size of it.
yeah,
but
they have no control. They don't even want to hurt you, and they blink, and they fucking send you flying.
I saw one the other day where this whale breaches, not a full, out of the water breach, but just comes up, and the kayaker's, on the whale's back. And I was like,
that
fuck
noise,
all
man.
that.
You know, Kamar, that in the wild, there's never been an occurrence of a killer whale attacking a human being.
Not that they know of.
Not that they know of. So, sorry, a recorded
Maybe
attack.
they're just the best kill. They're so stealth about it.
That's that could be totally possible, but we also see people swimming with killer whales in the wild. It's not like swimming with a great white
You're
shark.
not going to change my mind. It's whale over killer whale.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm fine. I'm just,
No, it's blue whale over killer whale.
Blue whale, sorry.
do you like sperm whales, humpback whales?
All whales.
I like that the
all
sperm whale
whales.
sleeps vertically. I find that very interesting.
Weird, yeah.
It just rotates slowly.
It's
like
just
a
the fact
sea
that
otter.
the killer whale kills whales. If it didn't kill whales, it wouldn't be a killer whale, but it would be on Team Whale.
I think they mostly live off seals and stuff.
I hope so.
No, they do. They do kill baby whale calves and stuff. you
Yeah,
know?
but they're big on eating seals. I know that.
Well,
for a
there's
fact.
just way more seals than there are baby whale calves. I think they are opportunist hunters.
I
so.
saw a video of an orca smoking a seal 70 feet in the air the other day with its tail.
Yeah, I mean, they're
Just
amazing.
whacking
They're
the
amazing.
shit out of it.
The great whites jumping out of the water is pretty crazy too. Those things
That's
are
nature's
fucking-
scariest occurrence.
It almost seems like you can rationalize with a killer whale, but there's none of that with a shark. You know,
It's just those dead eyes.
They are. Well, they're just like built to kill. That's the whole thing.
Yeah. Sharks are fucked.
I guess killer whales are too. Whatever. Stupid. Didn't think that one out properly. That was Simon 1.0.
Did you think we go a week without bears being mentioned?
No. It's impossible.
It's actually impossible.
But I mean, again, when a girl pushes a bear off a fucking fence, it's tough for the bear not to get its...
Every time a bear gets mentioned from now on, I'm going to talk about Bigfoot. That's the new fucking...
Fight fire with fire.
Yep. You got it, man. You
I mean,
got it.
that footage was timely, but just being hunter buddies, whether that happened or not, bears were going to come up in the conversation.
Did you see Renella's story about the bears? Has he told you his story? Yeah, I know.
This was a hunting podcast, and I think that's the low point of it.
Who do you think would win in a fight, a bear or a Sasquatch?
A bear?
Maddie, come on.
Sasquatch.
Yeah, thank you, Kumar. For sure.
That's the right answer, right?
Well, I think so.
I mean, if it has a cloak of invisibility, it could just fucking...
No, I mean, just in general, like, well, who do you think would win in a fight, a black bear or a silverback gorilla?
Silverback.
Yeah, for sure. Who do you think would win, a silverback or a grizzly
Am I not
bear?
part of this fucking thing? Fine. Well, you're obviously going to say silverback again.
No, there it becomes a real...
I'm going to say grizzly because the
real
claws is
fight.
another level. The gorilla has to just like get a grip on you.
Well, the gorilla has really sharp teeth, but
So
you're
does
right.
the bear.
Yeah, but as soon as the
Yeah,
bear's
yeah,
going
yeah.
to stand up, claws out, and then that gorilla's in a lot of fucking
They did
trouble.
that show, eh? Remember that back in the day? It was like they would put two animals against each other.
The world's deadliest animals.
Yeah, they wouldn't actually fight. They would like...
I know, I get it. It's not a fucking... We're throwing a gorilla inside the shark tank, and we'll see who fucking wins. Although that...
Would be very interesting.
Yeah. They could do that in
The
international
shark,
waters.
The shark would win. But a killer whale would take out a shark for sure. A great white. Have you ever seen them fighting the great white?
No.
There's a video of it.
That'd probably be fucked.
And apparently the killer whales know how to... they like touch the shark underneath its chin. Not that they have a chin, but around there or something. And it paralyzes them. They turn upside down.
Really?
Yeah, and then they just like rip out their spleens or something. Like
So
they
if you're
don't.
in it with a shark, you just got to catch it with the right uppercut? Is that what you're saying?
I don't know where the spot is, but
Okay.
the killer whales don't even eat the sharks. They just like
Just kill them? Just
and,
competition?
and take one of their organs. I don't remember which one it is.
it's probably high in
but-
protein or something.
Well, or it's like a trophy to take back to the rest of the pod. Notice I used
Got him.
the right-
As per our discussion last week, though, I think they should stop fishing for a whole year.
Yeah, that's absolutely never going
And
to
you,
happen.
and you should look at your pandemic bailouts and make a fisherman bailout or something. Just to see, because it does seem like it's going the right way.
No, it does not.
Maybe once we find out for certain. Hold, let me just take a sec here. Sorry. Maybe once we find out for certain that there is alien action in the ocean, like that everybody just agrees on that fact, maybe the fishing will stop.
Well, I can't believe a fisherman hasn't caught a UFO in its net or something.
Well, a lot of the sightings come from fishermen, and they were saying like, why all of a sudden is the Navy releasing so much footage? Why do they get so much? It's because they're the ones who are out in the fucking ocean. There's a lot of ocean is what I'm saying, guys. Like, we're not going to spot the UFOs,
In the middle of the Pacific? Yes,
right?
I understand.
Your
yeah.
eyesight is only so good.
My eyesight is incredible.
Did you guys see the footage they talked about that Willie D posted of the couple falling off the balcony?
Yeah.
Oh, you didn't see it, Simon?
This was the people fighting.
It's a husband and wife, and they break through the balcony with no.
nice.
When she hits the ground, if you look at her leg carefully, it looks like the bone is just like fucking...
But that sort of fall, we have no idea you're falling all of a
the
sudden.
worst, yeah.
It's the worst. It almost seems like it's snuff.
Tom Segura loves that shit.
Yes. I think that should be behind a paywall
I
to
can't
protect
watch
people.
that stuff.
Then after that, they talked about cancel culture for a while. And Joe mentioned something interesting about younger brother, older brother, which made me think about the Paul brothers. And maybe that's the edge Jake brings to him. You know what I mean? None of us have older brothers.
I mean, I think that works if you have like a tougher older brother.
Yeah.
I'm an older brother, and I used to beat on my little brother. I did. Like not to physically hurt him, but like just throw him around. And as the year progressed, it got to be more and more difficult as he grew and grew. And now he's bigger than me and could probably kick my ass. I don't think toughness has anything to do with it. I think you just constant have to be prepared under attack. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it sounds about right.
I don't know. I don't have an older brother, like you said.
And you never beat on any of your little siblings?
No, not really.
You guys are good guys.
Oh, I beat on my brother, but not like.
But that didn't make him.
Yours
He's not an
sounded
assassin.
like mean. We were like WWF wrestling, you know.
You never gave your little brother a blanket of doom?
Yeah, I did.
Of course.
I dropped a TV on his head by accident
Oh,
one time.
that sounds like WWE.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Didn't you lock your sister in a closet too?
Oh my god, that never happened. But sure.
He mentioned John Donaher was saying you can reinvent yourself in 5 years. That's good advice. Or
Why are we talking
inspirational.
about John Donaher?
Because
they mentioned it.
Oh,
He said he was tired of John Donaher, calling back to it.
name dropping.
I agree with that.
But it's like with focus.
Yeah.
It's not like hope, put a vision board up and then see where the chips fall. You got to go for it.
But I think even with a small amount of focus, you could just double the timeline and still get it done.
Double the focus.
No. Like if you're not as focused, you can do it in 10 years.
Yes.
That's all I'm saying is it might take you a little bit longer, but I still think as long as you stay focused, you can do it.
This comes into play in the third guest. Then they mentioned Shane Dorian, Simon's favorite podcast to date.
I mean, I'm not going to argue with that. It was good.
Well, you gave it like a 5.5.
4.5, I think.
That was early on in Simon's rating. He hadn't been.
You didn't know the landscape was going to be.
Yeah, he hadn't become as discerning an eye.
I don't even remember that podcast.
And such a good podcast, yet he
Really
hasn't been
resonated with
on
you.
with all these repeat guests. I don't understand.
He's been on a couple of times, though, Shane Dorian, just no time lately.
I only mentioned that to poke fun at you. I think no problem with the Shane Dorian. One of the things they talked about is media integrity. Do you think right now the news is failing us?
I don't think the news. Listen, if I could give you one piece of advice, it's that ignorance is bliss. Turn off the goddamn news.
But
They're just trying to sell you something,
Yes.
whether you know it or not.
It's
I think people
infotainment.
are living romantically when they're like, oh, back in the day, the news used to be real. No, the news has always been fake. They've always been companies that are trying to sell you something and trying to control the narrative. And it's no different now than it was before.
But I think there was a lot more high quality independent journalists back in the day because I think it was easier for them to make a buck. I don't think that's the
Well, I
case
mean,
anymore.
it should be easier for them to make a buck now.
There's just
No,
so
it's more
many
disposable.
ways
For an
to get
independent
information out.
journalist.
No, because it's tough for the huge journalism conglomerates to make money. So it's very tough for someone like a Matt Taibbi to make money because again, he works. Who was the guy who wrote that fucking Rolling Stone article for 25 years? Like, it's tough to, if you're independent, how are you going to feed yourself for 25 years to write the best story that again people are going to consume in one day and then forget about the next? It's tough.
But if Matt Taibbi, it's not his medium, wanted to start a podcast and do some sort of like Jimmy Dore or The Hill or, you know what I mean? He could go down that avenue now. And I think that's where it's all going.
But I think what I'm saying though is he could do that, sure, but he'd be releasing like one podcast a year. Just because
The research is more
that's
like
what
a
I'm
Dan
saying.
Carlin.
It takes so long that we can sit here and shoot the shit once a week, no big deal. But
What I was driving at is that it's always been rich guys who own the news networks.
I agree with
it's
that, yeah.
Like this was going on in the 60s. It was going on since television has been invented, And before television, it was the newspapers. And before the newspapers, it was something fucking else, man. It's always been the same.
This has nothing to do with anything, but have you guys been watching the History of Late Night?
no.
So the head of CNN now is the guy that fucked up the Jay Leno, Conan O'Brien thing.
Okay.
Is that interesting?
Failing upwards.
Well, no, he signed Jay to 5 more years. Thought this was going to work, and it just completely was a disaster. So I think it's no joke. Wonder why CNN is a mess now. That's a underhanded dig.
At who?
CNN.
Jeff Zucker, I think his name is. He's a douchebag.
Yeah, I mean, again, the news is always selling you this bill of goods that the world is absolutely terrible, and then you step outside and it's a sunny day, and
It's that, and they all sort of have the same narrative. That's what I think is the more suspect thing.
Well, it's always just you should be afraid. Be very afraid.
Fear is first and foremost. Yes, they showed Colbert because that was for me. That's when he was at his best.
On the
They did
Daily Show?
Colbert Report.
Oh, I thought on the Daily Show was where he was at his best.
Well, they showed it was Ed Helms, him, Rob Corddry, and Samantha Bee,
And
all of
Steve
them
Carell.
done what they've done, but it was just like when he was that character.
Yeah.
Colbert was like, if you're not scared, I'm not doing my job. And look at us now. Because that was the real swing was when Jon Stewart became being the most credible news.
Yeah.
And Trevor Noah's just kind of fucked it up in my personal opinion.
God, I missed that Daily Show. He's coming back, apparently. Jon Stewart. He's going to do like a Daily Show-esque show.
Him and Seinfeld are doing a buddy comedy.
Are they really?
No, but that would be fucking amazing.
That would be fucking amazing.
They talked about the lab leak and maps not working, but that doesn't develop till later on, till the Tom Papa one.
Yeah.
And they talked about how they got to shoot because they're hunting, and there's nothing worse than a bad shot. And I watched Man-Eater with Steve Ranella, Joe Rogan, and
Brian Callen.
Brian Callen, and he misses, or he doesn't get a dead kill on the turkey.
So it just runs around injured for...
No, it just lies there flapping. They got to break its neck.
Oh.
Joe runs out and fucking...
He did not
gets
enjoy
in
the
and
experience.
Omoplata.
A twister. Just snaps its neck.
So I thought the most interesting Clint Eastwood story was how he almost went to war,
Yeah.
but then he was in
When
a
he
plane
an
crash
accident,
and swam. Have you guys ever seen Escape from Alcatraz?
Yeah.
I think that's his baddest ass role I know of. I mean, all the cowboys aside, just playing a hardened criminal, like, there's no one tougher than Clint Eastwood.
What about Dirty Harry?
Charles Bronson.
Well, imagine, I was thinking, listen to this, if they try to redo a Dirty Harry.
Who would be Dirty Harry?
No one would be, because you could have a cop who played by their own rules and had a hard hand on the streets.
No, but who could pull off
It'd have to be
that,
Scott. It'd have to be Scott. It'd have to be his son.
No, they would get someone terrible like Tom Holland or someone fucking just
Nope,
awful.
that does not work at all.
I know it doesn't, but that's what Hollywood would do.
Frank Grillo, maybe.
They would get like Dwayne The Rock Johnson or
Nope.
something.
Frank Grillo. Why are you naming the worst actors?
Because Dirty Harry is sort of gristled. You know what I mean? Frank Grillo is not the one.
Frank Grillo is terrible.
Tom Hardy.
Tom Hardy.
Tom Hardy.
Interesting.
Yep. Scott Eastwood, I think.
You're just sticking with Scott Eastwood, all right.
Well, I think that's the best role. But like I said, you could not make this show anymore.
Could not make a rogue cop show.
Just is that bad boy cop that plays by his own rules. It would just feed into too many narratives of defund the police or whatever.
I mean, Kamara's a good point. You don't see a lot of those. They really hide that narrative now. Like in the 70s, it was like Serpico, fucking... There was literally, I could think of...
Well, no, every movie. And then
one,
the 80s and the 90s, they were all buddy comedy cop movies.
But the classic where it brings him in the room by himself, roughs him up.
Yeah, we're
gives him
talking
a
about like
bloody
Crooked
nose.
Cop, like Bad Lieutenant. You know what I mean? Like, there was a lot of those. And again, I think it's because they're like, well, that doesn't happen anymore. That was like a 70s, 80s thing. Which, again, it was terrible back then. Like, I imagine the NYPD was like 75%
But
crooked in the
I
70s.
don't think watching it back then, I was thinking, wow, look at this corruption. And like,
No.
I thought that was police work. And that's how it had to be done. I like how Joe said back in my AIDS days when he was slinging his dick around.
Yeah.
Yep.
'Cause we're young enough that just we weren't totally sexually active, but I remember that was as scary as it is now. Say a year after this pandemic, people were worried about sports or could I go in the pool? Like no one knew anything. You know what I mean?
My comedian buddy in Vancouver, who's only like he's probably like your age. He's like deathly afraid of AIDS. And
Still.
Yeah, and he blames it on like, he's like, I just grew up in the 80s where like, it was AIDS, AIDS, AIDS.
Well, I think because it killed some rich people.
Keith Haring.
Or who's I thinking of? Lead singer Queen.
Freddie
Mercury. So it seemed like inescapable. Sagar and Crystal have gone independent.
Yeah.
Now behind a paywall. But I think that's the way we're going for news. Topless. You guys ever been to a place where topless is cool?
Well, that's how it has. Sorry, just to back up for a second. That's how it has to be for news. They have to remove the ads. The ads are what drive the.
Yeah.
Like once you have sponsors, then you're beholden to those sponsors. So all news should be behind a paywall. That's one thing I'd be willing to pay for.
Because there are always like 3 things that
You
can
know
save
what I
your
mean?
family after these messages.
Or whatever. At least like.
And then those 3 things that save your family are like, buy Clorox bleach. And
Like, look, you could still be watching something in a vacuum,
yeah,
right? But if you actually trust that news source,
yeah.
it's not being corrupted by.
And they have both, and they represent both sides. So, you know, it's a little less.
For that show, I'm just thinking in general, though, like news should
Yeah,
be
yeah.
behind paywalls. That this is the major problem, right? Is that these guys sell ad space and then they can't say what they want to say because they're beholden to the fucking bottom line.
But that's got to make you think that something happened there.
Where were they?
You mean they were getting for the Hill? They were getting editorial notes and said,
No,
"Fuck this, we got to go on our
I
own." We're
know,
being told
but-
what to do.
Or no,
What-
but maybe no, because maybe YouTube was coming to them and they were like, there's only X amount of advertisers that want to work with you because of what you're saying, or you know what I mean? It can easily be that.
What was their governing thing? Like,
Nothing. They were on YouTube, so that's why I'm saying it must have been must have just been the amount of advertisers willing, or they just crunched the numbers and they were like, if we can maintain a third of our,
Or maybe they realized that exactly what I'm saying. If we can just get rid of these sponsors,
Or if
then-
they got pushed out by the big players like CNN, MSNBC, and stuff.
but Simon, that's what I'm saying is when you watch The Hill, there was no sponsor. It wasn't like The Hill started and they were like, Manscaped, make sure to go and use our The Hill code.
right? They weren't changing any of their opinions. You mean because of what they were selling?
What I'm saying is they were on YouTube, so it had to have been something within YouTube's algorithm that was cutting them off from ad money. Or like I said, you can always do this. You can say, listen, we have 3 million viewers. If we can maintain a third of them at $5 a month, that's $5 million a month. You know what I mean? Or even pick a number that you're happy with.
I mean, it wouldn't totally surprise me if YouTube or these bigger platforms, because they're either owned by or totally in bed with these same people who control the media, then they don't want to lose out on all this money they're making. And maybe like Kamar's saying, they're just pushing out shows and it's going to backfire on them. Obviously this is the push that another platform would need to prosper, right? Like be the one that is free of lister complaints here.
I mean, listen, money has to be involved in one. Someone has to get paid, right? Like no one wants to do the news for free. No one wants to do a 20-year piece that like money has to be involved some way. So like you're saying, there has to be a paywall or sponsors or something.
Or just a new platform. Like remember a while back I was saying like they need like a bunch of really famous people to switch from whatever the hell they're using to something else so all the kids follow them.
Yeah, I just think we've also proven in the last couple of years that isn't always as successful as you think.
But I was just thinking, now in the age, you'll capture an audience. Do you know what I mean? Like whoever they have, there'll be someone else come up and they'll capture people. Because if you watch CNN, it seems like they know they're talking to 6-year-olds and above. Like they honestly talk about Facebook and it, like
If you want to know who the demographic is, just look
The
at the
ads,
ads.
that too.
That's all. That's all you need to do. Is
it's all Metamucil. And
that's it. If it's catheter ads, you know exactly who their main demographic is. Hands down, that's it. If they're pushing Nickelodeon or some sort of fucking, then yeah. And yes, CNN is definitely geared towards.
let's hope there's a new world
same
order
with Fox
coming.
News.
Have you guys ever been to a place where topless is
Yeah,
no
I've been
big
to
deal?
nude beach. Yeah.
It's the best. Just the whole vibe of everyone, you know what I mean? Once you get off, like, look at your sunglasses over, get used to it.
Have you ever participated in the nude beach?
I don't think so. I mean, I think I've gone skinny dipping, but I've never sat on a beach buck naked all day.
No, my dick is too ugly to just be fucking on display for everyone.
I would
Fuck
like to,
that.
though.
Would you really?
You would.
Just to sun your dick, or is that, or just to show it
To
off?
show your dick off? Is that what you're
I think
thinking?
there's the inhibition, like it's just like you're free. You know what I mean? Like
I wouldn't feel free. I'd feel like everybody was looking
I
at
think
me.
you would for an hour or two, but after a while, like
Here's the thing though, like I don't even like walking around my house naked.
yeah, no, it's
So I don't
Like in front of your dog, you think he's judging you?
No, Chico's seen it all.
because he's got such a huge wang that
Yeah.
he's like, yeah.
Chico's
But
like,
we've
"Come on,
made
bro."
nudity the taboo. You know what I mean? It should be just nothing. Do you guys ever play on a sports team or go to some place where there was like lots of guys in the shower?
It shouldn't be a nothing though. Hold on. I want to go back. I want to back that up a bit. There's something, the taboo is kind of what makes fucking seeing it enjoyable.
Well, yeah.
Like if there was just pussy hanging out all over the fucking place, you
Porn
wouldn't really
wouldn't be that
you
big
wouldn't
a
really
deal.
give a shit. You know what I mean? There's something about that, like it's like tan lines. Like I love tan lines. Love that shit.
because those are the parts that aren't seeing
That's
the
it.
sun.
Yeah, I'm like, this is the shit I get to see.
I think we're just conditioned, and just like I said, like Australia was all the girls were topless. And
Yeah.
there's lots of places. There's just a different attitude. Like it's a whole mindset.
I think though, again, like I can see you could 10 topless girls could walk in right now. I don't really give a shit.
You're the one.
No. I mean, you get like, do you really? Are you like immediately hard if 10?
I would not be able to carry on with his podcast effectively if there's 10 topless girls in here.
I mean, that would just be weird because why would there be 10 topless
Fine.
girls in here? That's
I
weird.
would find it very distracting.
Like if we
My-
walked
okay, here.
outside and walked down the street and there was a girl walking down the street with no shirt on, would you get a boner? Probably not.
Let me put it to you this way. I'll put it to you a better way.
I would look more than once.
If you're going to a strip club and you walk in, and for the first 20 minutes, there's only topless girls, and then the next 20 minutes you still like all they're doing is just topless. Do you leave? Like, is that the kind of strip club you want to be at, where it's only topless?
If you were to ever go to a strip club.
I see what you're saying. If that was the only thing you could see, that would get you excited.
No, what I'm saying is, would you go to a strip club if you knew it was just topless?
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
But what I'm countering with is if you're there
Mm-hmm.
and they're only topless, I think you're going to at some point get aroused.
Okay, how about this?
Does that make sense?
There's two strip clubs side by side.
You're going to go to the other one.
Thank
I'm
you.
with
Okay,
you,
yes.
but you're missing my point.
I
Like
get what you're saying. You're gonna. Well, again, they're
tits,
dancing. but
tits
hold
are
on.
going to make you hard, Matt.
Hold
I
on,
don't
it's a
care who you are.
Strip club was a terrible example though, because again, they're there trying to get you hard so they can fleece $20 a
Yeah.
time. So at a beach where they're just like relaxing, like there can be 20 sets of tits out. It's not going to drive you wild.
I'm agreeing with you. I'm agreeing with you in the fact that when you immediately see those breasts, you're not going to be like, oh my God, and start jacking off. I'm disagreeing with you in that if you hang out at that beach and there are 12 women with their boobs out, eventually.
What if they're all fat and gross?
Okay, well, that's silly.
Hold up,
that's
though.
silly.
The counterpoint is if you're raised always seeing them, that isn't even a thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, nobody's arguing with that point.
Well, and I think that other way is the better way.
You do. You would like everybody to walk around with no clothes on.
If
You think
that's-
that would be better for society?
I absolutely.
I disagree.
That's perfect.
I think that would be a terrible.
I mean, for the first 2 years, there'd be so many car crashes. It would just be fucking staggering.
And then you're like, I don't know, man.
I had to shower for a year with guys in military school.
Yeah.
So it goes away. You know what I mean? Even being self-conscious or like there was times, and I was like 16 or 15, and I would like try to wait for no one to be in the shower to have the shower at the beginning.
What are you gaining by everybody walking around with the no clothes on? So let's start there.
I think you're getting rid of something. You're not gaining.
What are you
getting?
What are you getting rid of?
Like self-conscious or like body judging. I don't know.
Well, but then doesn't the body judging just happen on, girls with big tits are going to look at girls with little tits and think they're better because they have big tits, i.e. guys with giant dicks are going to think that they're better than the guys with the little dicks,
We're nowhere near that. So
But that's what I was going to say,
are where
Kamar,
we're
is
at.
like you,
It
hold on.
seems worse to me.
But what I was going to say is this, Kamar, like if you had a micro penis, you might have never gotten over showering with the guys. Like there might have never been a point where you were like, whatever, after a week, I'm cool with this.
I know there was guys in the shower with micro penises and they weren't ridden by everyone, like or whatever.
You don't know. That's my, I mean, again,
I don't know.
they might,
I know we did fucking talk about guys with huge hogs though.
of course,
For
yeah.
sure. I don't know. It's how you're, what is taboo to you or what is not.
To me, it's the same thing. Like you have people who buy expensive clothes to make themselves feel better, or vice versa. If everybody's naked, there are just going to be other things that make some people feel better and other people feel worse. Like by removing clothes or not clothes, you're not, that doesn't change human sociology or the way the mind works, you know, like that's just natural. I think. I don't know. Maybe I'm totally wrong.
We'll never know. But
Maybe we will if we stop wearing clothes.
Societies where topless is not is just given is chiller. That's just what I found. I only have one example, Australia, but
I'm with that. That's
less
fine.
uptight. I don't know.
I mean, again, if you think about it, it's totally legal in this city to go topless at any time as a woman. They just don't do it all.
I've seen it, and I looked twice. That's all I know.
To me, it just seems crazy though, because it's like nobody's doing it. So you're like, well, why is this person doing it? Just.
I mean, listen, if you want to be tits out at the beach, who gives a shit? But that's the thing. That's the problem is that's kind of what Kamar's saying is now it seems like it's an attention thing. Like if a girl wants to sit with her shirt, like I have my shirt off at the beach. Why does she have to have hers on?
You know, I don't think I'm talking about the beach.
And it was an interesting
just
mind.
walking down the street.
Okay, fair enough.
The mind exercise when they talk about Ellen Page.
Elliot
Page. So sorry. I'm so sorry, internet. But when they talk about, you know, a month ago, if Elliot had his shirt off, it'd be a problem.
That's the most ridiculous thing
I mean,
ever.
then I went and looked at the pictures because I wanted to see what they were talking about. And there are like a million pictures out there of Ellen Page before the transition without a shirt on. So it's not like, do you know what I mean?
His point, though, was just like on Instagram, if you show a male nipple, you can show that all day.
I understand.
Yeah. And it's ridiculous. It's still just a piece of skin.
But again, if you had girls just showing their boobs on Instagram, you know what Instagram would become, you know?
The nipple is an interesting thing, though, because if you see a girl's tits totally exposed, but just the nipples are covered, there's something about it where you're like, oh, I didn't see her tits.
Or body paint.
Yeah, that is weird, eh?
Isn't it?
That actually goes through your head, though. You're like, oh, that's safe for work.
Not even safe for work,
No,
but in
no,
your
but
head, you're
you-
just,
you
you're
know
like,
what
I
I
haven't
mean.
seen this girl's tits. Like, the main portion is covered still. I don't know, it's so
That's
weird.
very-
The nipple
very
is the full
peculiar.
Monty.
Like you said, too, yes, body paint's another one where, like, you're like, I know those tits are out, but they're really not. It's an interesting...
Body paint. Yeah, that's a little different.
Well, because they're all
Because-
painted, but
yeah, and then, you know, if you're just wearing a really tight shirt.
yeah.
There's a bunch of other stuff I have down here, but we're not going to get through it all.
Yeah, no, we got to move on.
He pointed down. Did you see what he did there? I have a lot of other stuff down here.
I'm talking about my big dick.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got it.
Yeah. That's how I got comfortable showering so quickly.
He mentioned radioactive wolves. They're talking about nuclear power, and he mentioned Shane Smith. And shouldn't Shane Smith be a repeat? Well, I mean, he was a mainstay, but by now, I'd like to get to the bottom of that one.
Well, I mean, I think it's a weird thing because, like,
Not that I'm pining for him.
They had a falling out. There is no doubt about that.
That's what I'm saying.
but it's a weird one because it's like Joe, and I don't believe this, but like Joe is now looked at as like a right wing guy, and then Shane Smith is, I mean, Vice is as far left as you can fucking go, pretty much. So it's a weird,
But just for the we remember the last podcast together.
hammered, loving
Just
each
became,
other.
we're the king of the world.
Oh, just 69ing
Bizarro,
each other
and
for
then
the whole. Yeah.
Maybe they fucked or hooked up, and they just are stay away from each other.
Dude, that's the most likely scenario at this point.
Is that what you
they
do?
fucked after that
You get
podcast.
totally drunk. You wake up. Oh my god, we fucked. Let's not talk for a couple
Or
weeks.
here's a more likely scenario, just in Joe's defense.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Shane convinced him to invest in Vice,
No chance.
and then it tanks, and then Joe's like, "Fuck this nerd."
I don't think so.
I'd like to get to the bottom of that.
I'm tending to lean more towards that than the.
I don't know. I'm leaning towards they
sordid
fucked. I
affair.
like that. I like that one.
Does it make sense?
Anything's possible.
I like that he asked Scott Eastwood about his dad in the chair incident.
We were talking about Scott Eastwood. Holy shit!
but what? His dad and what?
He was
Sorry?
like, "What about when your dad made fun of Obama, talking
Oh,
about
yeah,
him in the
yeah,
chair,
yeah.
saying you're a nobody or whatever?" And I thought that was just good, rather than avoiding it. I mean, like Scott says, I'm not going to speak for my dad or whatever. And
If I was Scott, I'd be like, what do you want? He's an old
sometimes he
racist.
hits,
Let
sometimes
him
he
go.
misses. And that was a definite miss.
Do you ask Kramer's son about?
I think it'd be cool guest on the podcast, a Wayans brother.
Yeah.
For
Well, one of the
sure.
older ones, please.
Well, the way he
Yes.
talks about Damon,
Damon would be
Damon
a
or
great guest.
Keenan. And Keenan would be even cooler because he started
I think Damon would be cool.
Damon would be super
frankly.
cool.
do the right thing in living color.
color.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna get you, sucker. Like he's both either of those Wayans would be super cool guests. I think.
I agree.
The other thing was when he talked
We'll
about
end up with Marlon.
so be it. His
Keenan
another
Ivory.
Clint Eastwood story. He goes makes the movie in Italy.
That's Keenan.
No, Keenan Ivory is the old, like the old
That's who
oldest
he
one.
was talking
Yeah,
about.
he's
The
my
guy
number
who did,
one,
In
and then
Living
Damon.
Color.
No, I don't want him on. I just want Damon.
Keenan wrote for Eddie Murphy Delirious.
I know. I still don't want him on.
Keenan's the one for me.
No.
We put it in the ether.
Damon.
It's coming. It should. Unless those guys are real. Because I never see them do interviews and stuff, so maybe they just don't want to put the shit out there.
Well, Joe fucking sings his praises, man.
Yeah, big time. Big time.
He did a movie in Italy. It was something over there. It came over here. Everyone's talking about this big movie, and he goes in and goes, "Oh, that's
Oh,
my
I'm
movie."
in this movie.
Another cool Clint Eastwood story. The most interesting thing that just got glossed over is Jane Goodall got raped by a monkey.
Yeah, I thought that didn't get its
Like,
dues.
what was she wearing?
Wow.
I'm not biting on this one. Kumar.
Well, it's a very interesting story because
Wow, that was a great joke.
the Cole's notes was it was better for her to just let it happen.
Yeah, so she didn't get her finger
get
bitten
It's
off.
more
torn apart.
dangerous for her to try and resist.
Now, is that her story after?
She's probably
Not
seen
to
enough
be
monkeys.
bestiality.
Fuck.
Yeah, that woman with the dolphin said the same thing.
Yeah,
It's
No,
too
it raped
dangerous
me.
for me
Yeah.
to not jerk this dolphin
it
off.
forced itself on me, and I just for science. That'd be probably better
She got
saying.
really close to those chimps. In all respect to Jane Goodall,
Yes.
she was living right there with those guys.
Okay, we got to move on. We got to rate them. Do you have one more point you want to get to, Kumar?
Just by the by, Jane Goodall states very emphatically that Bigfoot exists.
Well, I mean, she would have. She got raped by a monkey. That's what the monkey was all about. He was like, "You're gonna fucking say that Bigfoot exists."
It was just the monkeys immediately taking their money for prostitution. It was crazy.
Yeah.
That's just
We've
crazy.
heard that story a
A
bunch
million
of times.
times.
Oregon's getting everything they want. People are still upset. So that's a weird thing about us hopefully to decriminalize everything. And it's weird how in Hollywood, they mentioned at the very end, everyone working on a set can think it's magical. And this is going to be a great movie and is a turd and that vice versa. Like I've heard too many people say that you never know.
No, I
just
think
find
you
that's
know when
interesting.
you're making a turd. You know from the second you read that script.
Well, I guess that's just a bad decision.
I mean, I was gonna say, like, I watched Songbird the other day. I don't know if you guys have seen it.
No, I refuse to watch
It's
it.
a terrible piece of shit. Like, just awful. And I thought to myself, I was like, there's no way Peter Stormare read this script and was like, I might have a winner on my hands here. No way.
And then here we are. I wanted to do the movie game in here, but like someone said, we shouldn't do any movies that we haven't seen.
Yeah.
So
What was the movie you wanted to do?
it was going to be The Outlaw Josie Wales.
Oh, yeah, I haven't seen it.
But it'd just be interesting because the budgets.
The timeline, yeah.
Very
Fucking,
different.
yeah. All right, well, let's rate Mr. Eastwood. We'll start with Kumar.
A little hunty, a little bit of talk about cancel culture. Would liked more to hear about his dad. I give this a 2.5.
I give it a 1.5. Nothing against Scott Eastwood. This one didn't tickle my fancy.
1.3.
Okay, going Portnoy on us. All right, let's move on to the next one.
1660. Just a Gigolo. DLR. David Lee Roth.
Come on, Simon.
Sorry, man.
I'm going to say emphatically right off the jump, this might have been my least favorite podcast ever.
This was so bad.
And you enjoyed the first David Lee Roth.
No.
No.
Okay.
I said on that one too, I was like, I don't.
When he goes to the bathroom, I'm jumping way ahead here, okay?
Yeah,
When he goes to the bathroom
that was the best
and
part of the whole
Joe
episode.
is talking to Jamie and is saying, isn't it weird when these like super famous stars get older and they have to become more of a character than they were? Like, he nailed it right on the fucking head, man.
Head on the nail.
Well, I mean, just think about it again. The last time he shows
Do
up,
you dig?
The last time he
Matt?
shows up in
You
like a
get me?
full 3-piece suit, right? Like dressed to the nines. This time he shows up looking like a $4 bum.
Well, and it was the same podcast, man. Like they just, I think he forgot that he had been on the Joe Rogan show and
Two
said all
things.
this stuff already.
It'd be hilarious if you did the whole thing because the first time I look into it, I see he has no teeth. And I didn't know they addressed it. So he's just there, like everything's going good. Yeah, I'm missing a tooth. They explain in the podcast, but when you first see it, like, wow. He sort of looked like a meth head or something. You know what I mean? My big problem with this is Eddie Van Halen died 6 months ago.
Okay.
And
And
they-
they're touring.
Sorry?
I said, and they're touring. Is that what bothers you?
He mentioned his brother more.
Oh, he wasn't. He
So
didn't-
this is Van Halen's 50th anniversary. Da-da-da-da-da.
Who was that guy you kept mentioning? Alex.
The drummer, the brother.
That's the brother.
But don't you think it's a little weird?
I didn't even think about it as you mentioned it. Yeah, a little gauche. He,
I think it was a
he
little
didn't pay any,
narcissistic.
didn't
Just-
pay any tribute. Didn't fucking. I lost a friend that I had.
I think part of it is Joe not asking, but I don't think it was ever in David Lee Roth's purview to say, I just want to say
He was-
R.I.P. to my friend and the actual talent of the band.
This guy loves himself.
Yeah,
there's no one funnier in David Lee Roth's mind than DLR.
He gave
Like,
himself a couple applause breaks.
He's an amazing, though, like Renaissance man for real. But the idea is that you're supposed to be really humble about it and like
That is
not
not him.
broadcast the fact that you're this.
He's trying
Renaissance
too hard
man.
to be a Renaissance man.
It was
the way he even spoke about his own music and like how he was like, man, we had 10,000 hours before we even got on stage, man. I was like, how? 10,000 hours is 30 years.
and just healing people with music. I don't know.
So
it's
to
all-
speak.
Dude, even then, talking about like the way he was talking about Panama.
Panama.
Dude, he was
He had lost
speaking about
himself
it
at
like
that
they
point.
won a Pulitzer for writing Panama.
He's lost himself at this point.
100%.
Van Halen's not that good.
I've seen them live.
When they came out, again, Eddie Van Halen was making noise that people couldn't comprehend. No one was like, who's this guy singing?
And listen, when you say, Simon, give me a list of bands who like changed the world with their lyrics and like
not Van
Halen
Halen.
doesn't
It's
come to
not
mind.
Van
You
Halen.
know? You know what? Jump. That's what comes to mind when I think of Van Halen. And listen, I don't hate them.
And are you
But,
telling me
like-
that these fucking pothead hippies like myself were sitting there and they were like, okay, we'll say jump quick because it's like that's how you jump. No, they were probably just writing a fucking song high as shit. Like I just
That
Combat.
sounds like a Matrix type situation to me, where they're going back in time to like
to
convince
rewrite
us
That's what-
that
not
it
even then.
was,
It's you. Something happened 30 years ago, and now you've built it up as this huge thing in your head, and you're giving yourself all these plot. It's like,
Anyways, the guy's amazing. He's amazing. All the things he's done is amazing.
Not when he goes on air.
And that's why the
detracts.
first one wasn't so terrible,
It wasn't so
because
terrible.
Joe found
the
out
first one
about
sucked.
them. This one, he was there like bragging about them. And it was
Nothing-
too much
nothing new to
handle.
offer
What did he
and
keep saying,
repeating the whole
Kamar?
story.
Not do you dig?
you follow me.
You follow
Do you
me.
follow? Was
Follow
that
me,
it?
and so to speak.
You follow me. That was drive me fucking crazy.
Someone on the Reddit was like, "This is the most condescending thing I've ever fucking seen in my life."
After we listened to fucking physicists and
Yeah.
Which is so weird because Joe is usually the one being condescending, and this time it was somebody being condescending to Joe. It was very like,
how many times did he try to get Joe with the combat hippie line?
He's
He's loving heavy arms.
He reused so many lines
over and over, like a broken record.
I wish somebody had an algorithm where they could go back to the original episode
see if he
and
oh my
he
God.
did, definitely.
This
It's
was
like
like
70% the same jokes.
like I'd rather listen to Gary and Steven argue for 4 hours.
I mean, I'm not going to go that far, but it was pretty fucking bad.
This was terrible.
Yeah, no.
It was
I'm with you.
unnecessary. He argued that nicotine was more important for creativity than psychedelics.
Oh, I've
Yeah,
never
which is
wanted
insane.
to smoke so much in my life, man.
It's so cool, eh? Smoking.
Oh, it's so cool. This is so nerdy.
Oh, this is the worst thing ever. But that's the idea of it. It's like to
Shame you out of it.
well,
out of-
it's not shaming me. It's just making me addicted to something that's super nerdy, where before I was addicted to something that made me look super cool.
but was killing you at 10x the rate probably.
I mean, that remains to be seen, right?
You don't feel better now that you're
No,
not
I
smoking?
do. I
Yeah,
do,
exactly.
for sure. Yeah.
All his talk
just
about
being
AlphaGo
facetious.
was redundant.
This whole fucking podcast was redundant.
Even the way he explained Go to Joe, though, like he was a fucking. I'm like, dude, this guy has 2,000 podcasts under his belt
Yeah,
with some of
what-
the smaartest people in the world. You think he's never come across Go?
What do you think? What is it called when you mansplain to a man?
The man's.
David Lee
man.
Roth.
Mansplain?
Yeah, I
That's
don't
what he
know.
was doing. He was doing a lot of that.
The only bright part was his love for the Jamaica bobsled team.
No bright
Oh
part.
my God. He brought them up like three
So
different
annoying,
times.
man.
Very similar to the Spartans.
They're not. Okay, you know what? I'm not. New Simon. I'm not doing this.
Do you think materialism has gone down?
No.
Is that what they thought?
No, they're crazy.
It's-
Gone.
it's way more, eh?
Skyrocketed.
Brands
since
are way more
TikTok.
important.
Fuck.
Listen, if Jeff Bezos bought a $500 million boat, get the fuck out of here. Like, boat makers should just put a cap on it. Been like, listen, there's no point in this. What's wrong, Simon?
Nothing. He has a yacht for his yacht. It's fucking ridiculous.
This is the one point I want to make. Sorry, the last episode they were talking about Eat the Rich, and he used Paul Simon as the example. Was that so weird? Like, it could have been Bezos, it could have been Elon, it could have been Gates, it could have been Buffett, it could have been anyone. But
BLM is at Paul Simon's
Paul
door
Simon
in Portland.
just
Like,
taking food out of your mouth. I think he. 600-pound sumo wrestler. Is that the craziest sport ever?
He was a Hawaiian.
Well, the world champion, but they're gods in Japan. It just never translate over here because they're silly outfits. Where they
Like
just the wedgie.
Yokozuna was like a serious sumo guy over there before he became part of the WWE.
It's just crazy that they.
Oh my God. How much do you think Paul Simon is worth?
$550 million.
I was gonna say
That's a lot.
150.
Yeah,
sold his catalog.
150 million.
Oh wow.
He's no small player, man.
That's why they're saying eat the rich. Paul Simon, David Lee Roth knew what we didn't.
How much do you think David Lee Roth is worth?
Well, he's got a handler, so I'm gonna say
He's worth
120.
Like, I was going to say 250 million.
According to the internet, he's $60 million.
Nothing.
Fuck, imagine having $60 million.
Here's the bigger question, guys. What do you think Art Garfunkel is worth?
$250 million.
Okay, just hold on a second. It has to be substantially
I was
less
just gonna
than
say,
Paul
how is he
Simon.
worth? How
He
is he
hasn't
worth
made
double
any
what, he's worth
albums.
double what Paul Simon is. Paul Simon wrote everything. I'm gonna say he's worth 50 million.
95 million. I'm surprised it's
Wow.
that much.
Good for
95.
you, Art.
Yeah, fuck.
You know what though, Simon? It's like the New Kids on the Block. Now again, you could sit here and be like, I would assume they made tons of money. Do you know that they're like, I think one of their early management warned them all to take a good portion of their money and dump it in real estate. And apparently they all did.
I just felt like Garfunkel is shrewd financially.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Kamara. New Simon. Shouldn't have jumped down your throat like
no,
that. But
it's all right.
That's crazy to think that Art Garfunkel could
Madness.
possibly be worth more than Paul Simon.
It is and it isn't though. But if you invest smart, right? Like if you make, let's say you make 30% less than your partner in crime,
Yeah.
but you invest properly.
Yeah. It sounded like he invested properly because even at 95 million.
That sounds very high.
Like Garfunkel made hit albums after. Sorry, Paul Simon made hit albums after they broke up. Like Graceland probably sold more than all the Paul Simon or all the Simon and Garfunkel records put together.
I mean, listen though, those guys in music, like you get an EP on something, an executive producer credit, or like a writing credit, even you're making the lion's share of the royalties off of that fucking song. So, I think in music, there's a lot of like, if you're a big name in music, I don't think it's that hard to make a fucking.
Well, and I'm
shitload
sure
of
You
money.
Can Call Me Al has been used in a million things, man.
That's what I'm saying.
Do you know the bass line?
Yeah, I know it.
That the guy only did that in the studio.
That didn't happen in a live show.
Can't do it live. No. But they show how they do it. It's still
Do you know what he's talking
classic song.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
You know the bass line.
Yes.
from-
Yeah.
Anyways, I can't do it. It's gonna
You
be crazy. It's gonna be crazy when Mick Jagger dies
If it ever happens.
or Keith Richards. Like if David Lee Roth passed away, it's not gonna be like it's gonna be. I'm sorry he passed away and sorry his family stuff, but they're so maybe Paul McCartney.
It is interesting though. You look at those two guys, Mick Jagger and
Keith Richards.
Keith Richards. Obviously, these two guys have some serious life expectancy drugs going on because they are well past when they should be alive. But it hasn't been able to make them like appear any younger.
No.
I
So
think-
it's keeping them alive, but it can't like give them.
Dude, Keith Richards still smokes
More
like a pack
young
of cigarettes
years.
a day. There's no way that face isn't going to look like a catcher's
He may
mitt.
have actually quit.
Okay, but fine. 50 years of smoking cigarettes, it's going to be tough to reverse that.
I think they just aged past.
This is what I'm saying. They
The
got too
technological
far
advancement?
past, and now it's just keeping them alive. Whereas guys like Elon Musk are going to stay the way he looks forever.
Yeah, I
Dude,
believe
Elon
that.
looks 50% better than he did when he left PayPal.
Oh yeah, it's like two different people.
He looked like an elongated muskrat when
It
he
almost is like it's two different people.
Same with Jeff Bezos though.
Really, it's almost like it's two different people.
And plastic surgery isn't rock and roll.
I agree.
They've all got plastic surgery. Are you kidding?
But not like Paul McCartney is more than them. Like Mick Jagger still looks old, like you said.
But it's still like old plastic surgery.
Better than Paul McCartney or Mickey Rourke.
Oh my God. Yeah, but Mickey Rourke was a boxer. That's a terrible example.
I guess
he got
so.
his face caved in when he was like in his 40s.
I guess David Lee Roth has aged well then, besides losing the teeth.
And his mind. Or do you just assume, let me ask this, because like, do you just think he's always been like this? Or do you think it's like...
egomaniac?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he's been a crazy egomaniac, and it's gotten
just a
worse
question.
as he gets
Fair enough,
older
yeah.
because he feels like exactly what Joe said. Like they have to like stay relevant.
become a
in their
character of
own
himself.
heads. Yeah. It's ridiculous. And I love how he's like, makes it seem like he does everything himself. I went to China. I did all of this. I carry my own groceries. But check with my handler, like pick a lane. You
he
either
did
do all
work-
the shit yourself or you're flying private jets,
he
but
did
it's
work as a
not
paramedic.
both fucking ways.
I think there's some truth to it. That he has kept himself somewhat humble, even though it does not come across in his personality.
Imagine this is him humble.
This is him talking about how humble he is.
This is why I look at someone like a Nick Offerman as like, that's how you want to be famous. The guy that plays Ron Swanson.
I know who he is.
Yeah, like he spends all his money on his woodworking shop and he just lays low.
Why, is he really a woodworker?
Yeah.
Ron Offerman is?
Nick Offerman.
He's very
Whatever
close.
the fuck his name is?
He's very
Yes,
close
he-
to who he is. I
He
think.
has a huge woodworking studio. He makes canoes. He makes all sorts of crazy shit. But you know what I mean? That's how I would do it. Like, why be in the Hollywood? Like, just live out in Montana on a fucking nice plot of land. You have $60 million. Is that what we said this guy has? 60 million? 90?
Who?
David Lee Roth.
Oh, that's who we're talking
60
about.
million. I feel like he.
How does Dave... Okay, anyways, go on.
I feel like he's sort of like Andrew Dice Clay.
Just trying to stay.
Just has become the character.
Okay, yeah.
That he sort of portrayed, and it was interesting. Every 10 episodes or whatever, they're talking about announcer voices.
Yeah.
Like, hey, wow, why these guys? I wish Joe's like, Dave, why do you talk like a radio announcer? Because that's how he talks.
You follow Joe?
Like he's got to be bummed and solemn sometimes.
I don't know.
Or if he's like this all the time, I don't think there's many people who want to be around him. He cares for the planet passionately. I think that's a good thing. His best
He
line.
never talked about being with women. Did you notice?
Like, you'd think that would be part of his braggadocio.
To kiss and
like-
tell.
Yeah. No, but there was zero mention. Think about it.
He
Stop and think about it for
He probably
1
had
second.
some roadies, some groupies, for sure.
Is he, maybe he's gay.
Maybe he is. He lost all credibility with me not mentioning Eddie Van Halen.
Dude, now I think he's definitely gay.
His best line was, nobody hears both sides of the story except for the neighbors.
Yeah, but he probably laughed too hard after he said
He
it,
laughed
that I
too hard
missed
at everything he
it.
said,
Yeah.
but it's sort of true. If a couple's arguing, they're not going to hear each other, but the neighbors could be like, yeah, I'm on his side or her side. What about paying the cops way more? You want to go the other direction and make it a really elite job.
I think if you can start by showing us that you're going to weed out the shit ones, I have no problem with that. It's a dangerous job. But until you can say, hey, our union is going to make sure that we only have the best of the best out there, get the fuck out of
Hold
here
them
asking for
accountable.
more money. Yeah. Accountability first, and then more money and more training. I'm fine with that. Listen, we need good cops, for sure. And Joe's whole, Joe acts like the cops should just be able to act with impunity. And I think that's a dangerous, you know how he was like, these guys just need, you can sue them now. It's like, well, listen, if they do something terribly wrong, do you think Eric Garner's family shouldn't have been able to sue?
I guess this works the same way as doctors.
They take a Hippocratic oath.
No, if a doctor fucks up, though, in America, you can sue them.
Yeah, exactly.
Cop fucks up, you can sue him. I thought the
I
weird thing,
don't think he's gay.
No,
I think
he's got a wife.
Well, no,
got a
but
kid.
there's a lot of talk out there about it. Apparently,
Oh, interesting.
A lot of debate.
he,
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
No.
Just
I mean, a lot of those
interesting.
60s and 70s rockers
I know,
experimented
but
like crazy.
I just
too, so
imagine that they would be. He bragged about everything. So why weren't?
why weren't women involved? Yeah.
I thought it was strange how he wanted more out of people who win awards in their speeches.
I think they were just reminiscing about Brando more than because at the same time, Joe hates that.
Joe hates it, and I thought he made him sound really old fashioned. Because I think the awards or speakers awards are because he was saying people should tell us how I got here in that time instead of necessarily taking the political thing of Brando. I thought that's what I got. What he's saying.
I didn't really necessarily get that. I just thought. I mean, again,
Anybody who thinks that those people should get more time to talk, like, fuck off.
Yeah. So
Just
he's out of his element.
Go take your private jet back to your island, and
go fuck some kids.
I can go another couple of years without hearing from you.
The only time I sort of got him real and I didn't want to listen to it was when he was complaining about getting fired.
Dude, when he asked Joe, "What have you been fired from? McDonald's?
Walmart.
What have you been fired from? Walmart?" I was
Dude,
like,
this whole
I was
thing,
like,
it
get
was
up and leave.
It was driving
Get out
me-
of the studio.
It was driving me crazy. The whole thing was driving me crazy. Talking about it now is fucking irritating me.
Then he
the heat
showed
doesn't help.
the tap dancing again.
The Nicholas brothers.
And I thought it was interesting how they said they don't do this anymore, but they didn't break dance back then. And I've seen some crazy break dancing, whether it be pop locking or really athletic stuff that I think can't compare.
Yeah,
the flying splits and stuff.
No, I agree. It's just an outdated, like tap dancing is kind of an outdated thing. But yeah, you still see wild,
Just
fucking,
wild physical feats of strength
Yeah.
and flexibility. He's got a new song called "Giddy Up."
David Lee Roth does.
Yep.
Oh, I assume it's
And
terrible.
I think Eddie Van Halen was the secret sauce. Do you guys remember a movie about a band that replaces their lead singer with a fan?
Yeah, it was Marky Mark, and the movie was Rockstar.
Rockstar. Now he was also replaced by Eddie Van Halen. Yeah, kicked him out to bring in Sammy Hagar. Well, I thought it'd be an excellent choice for our movie game this week.
Rockstar.
You know the movie?
Jennifer Aniston.
You've seen it?
Marky Mark.
I assume I have. yeah.
Jennifer Aniston at her hottest, I might add.
She may have been at her hottest.
Oh my god! Remind me about the Friends reunion on the post show because Mary watched it. and
Oh, I will.
Oh,
I
just
will.
fucking. Oof. Oof. Oh,
It's the JRE movie game. The time has come again. For Matt and Simon to rack the brains to guess the budget in the box office. We all know they won't guess the year, and the Patreons are the real winners here at the JRE movie game. Come on, take it away, baby.
It's the movie game where Matt and Simon go head to head to find out what year a movie came out, how much it cost to make, and how much it made at the box office. This week we're doing Rockstar. But a lead singer getting replaced by his band for another lead singer who was in this
this was Jennifer Aniston
audience,
at her
starring Mark
hottest.
Wahlberg.
What was
Jennifer
his band
Aniston.
called? Like Wild Horse or Wild Stallion or something like that.
Steel Dragon.
Steel Dragon, thank you.
how the fuck much did this thing cost to make? Oof.
We need a year first, right?
Yeah, I have one written down already.
Really? Wow, that was quick.
I just threw it into the wind. I have no fucking idea.
Mark Wahlberg, Jennifer Aniston, Jason Fleming, Timothy Oliphant,
Oh my god.
Timothy Spall, and Dominic West.
Simon's man crush is in this. That's
Okay,
fucking
I'm ready.
incredible.
And we all like Dominic West as well.
Are you guys ready for a year?
McNulty?
Dominic West. Oh, McNulty's the fucking shit.
A year?
Yeah, I have 09.
I also have 09.
Get the fuck
Yep.
out of here.
Release date 2001.
No
Long time
fucking
ago.
way. Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
Oh, then my budget and shit is just fucking fugazi.
You have time to change it right now.
No, I'm not. Always go with your gut. Where's the dog? Oh, he's asleep on the floor. It's
He's
way
in the
too
cool
hot in here.
spot, yeah.
Okay, I'm ready. You go first, Matt.
Well, we were equally far apart, but I'll go first, sure. I said $34.9 million to make, just leaps and bounds off. And then I said it made 126.8.
And I said 17 million to make 64 million at the box office.
Simon got it.
Because of the cast, you'd think this was a successful movie, but it actually cost $57 million to make
What the fuck?
Whoa.
and made $19.3 million.
Oh my god! Wow!
Wow, that's one of the biggest flops of all time.
That's a huge stinker. That's one of the biggest stinkers we've had on
this
here.
is
For
I
sure.
think
consolation.
it's the biggest
No,
stinker
we've had
we've
one.
had.
No. Here, I can go back. This has got to be a bigger stinker.
$57 million is with marketing. So that's a full budget because they really tried to sell this movie. The budget just for the movie, though, Matt, Silver Lining, $38 million.
What's BTLC?
BTLC.
Why would I write down an acronym for that movie?
Bacon, lettuce, tomato, and cheese?
Back to the Future. No.
Oh, no. I don't know what it is.
Anyways.
It was a
okay.
big bomb,
Fun movie game.
just like this David Lee Roth episode.
No, this episode sucked.
That's
man.
the movie game.
Sucked. And can I tell you, there are so many fucking people out in the world, so many singers, so many everything. There's no reason for a repeat of David Lee Roth.
No.
This is getting ridiculous now.
Yeah.
Come on, Joe. You can do better.
Yeah.
Are you sure? Are you sure, Dave? I mean, are you sure, Joe? Do you think I should come on? No, come on, Dave. We'll have a great time. No, I don't know,
Yeah,
Joe.
how do you think this one worked? You think Joe reached out to Dave? Do you think Dave reached out to Joe? Was he selling something?
There's two conversations.
Oh, he
I
had
wanna-
a new song.
There's two conversations I want to be able to fly on the wall for.
I don't know, Simon. I can't find it. You might be right. It might be the biggest stinker to date.
And I thought
That's a real big
and
story.
I thought it was weird for Joe to go after Bruce Springsteen for I'm on Fire. Weird joking about it if her dad, if that was done today, and her dad got the text message, Mr. Springsteen, what do you think you are going to do with my daughter? What does it matter whether I'm home? But I thought Joe was almost trying to cancel Bruce.
I didn't get that.
Well, there's a couple songs out there. She was just 17, young girl, get on my life.
Well,
I love to use red line.
He made a good point, though, David.
I think David-
Roth, DLR, that,
Teenager versus teenager.
well, yeah, if you're writing it from the point of view of a teenager, like,
Yeah.
that's your job is to fucking.
Oh, I think he put to the bed, and I thought Joe was just trying to find something where I don't think Joe likes.
I think
Bruce
Joe
Springsteen
was
too
just
much.
making a joke, and David Lee Roth has zero sense of humor, so it totally missed and came off like you're saying.
I mean, if we continue down this path, you never know. In 20 years, Justin Bieber could be canceled for writing Baby. You know what I mean? Because they're like, it's disgusting. He's a 40-year-old man.
I was just so used to hearing David Lee.
Well, that doesn't make any
Laugh.
sense.
I'm just saying, it's pretty much the
thought it
same thing. If
wasn't
Bruce Springsteen writes this song about a 17-year-old when he's 20,
No, but he didn't write it when he was 20. He wrote it when he was 40, and he's 70 now. But still, like, why can't he put himself into
He
the
wasn't
eyes
a
of
soldier. He
teenager
wasn't
or a
anything. He's
soldier,
not a
I get
baseball
it,
player.
yes.
or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, imagine if he had written it when he was 20. We're at the
Well,
point
that's a
now
whole
where,
different story.
Yes.
Like, that's not what Joe is arguing, though.
Either way, Joe shouldn't be trying to cancel anyone.
Agreed.
No one should.
Which I don't think he was doing. I think Kamar's
Yeah, I
reading
agree.
wrong
I
into
agree.
that. I think he was trying to make a joke that got lost, and David Lee Roth made it seem like Joe was trying to
Like
do
I
something
said,
he
it's
wasn't.
because David Lee Roth is so used to laughing at himself. The thing sounded like it fell dead.
His podcast must be terrible.
He stopped doing it.
Thank God.
It was painful. I really tried. I really gave him a lot of time, which I can't get back.
Simon 2.0, no, never laughs at himself. Stoic.
We'll see. We'll see how long that lasts. That's all my stuff for David Lee Roth.
Good. Rate it.
I give it a 1. It was unlistenable.
I give it a 0.5. The lowest possible rating on my scale.
And I give it a 0.75. It was terrible. This guy was terrible, and this should be the last time we ever hear from him on JRE.
Yeah, fuck this episode. That being said, we are going to take a break. We're going to pay a bill, and we'll be right back. Thank you to BetterHelp. And maybe pot stickers? I think it's just BetterHelp this week.
How apropos for this next podcast review.
Yeah, you're right. Yes. Go check out BetterHelp. Don't forget On It, too. If you're in the States, we have a bunch of free On It trials. If you
Why?
want.
Who's the next podcast?
Maps.
1661.
Maps.
Rick Doblin.
Dick Doblin,
Which
as you want.
sounds like a goblin.
Well, it's not. That'd be the best if his name was Dick Goblin in high school. It'd be a tough ride.
Dick Goblin.
Richard Goblin.
But unfortunately, we're stuck with Rick Doblin.
Oh my god.
But he should change his name to
that's
Dick just to be
that's
fun.
So funny, Dick Goblin.
67 years old.
That's gonna be my new. If I ever get famous and I like want to hide my identity at a restaurant,
You're
or a
checking into the hotel? Yeah,
it's
Richard Goblin.
Dick
Goblin.
Goblin. You can call me Dick.
Founder of Maps. Now, this is the value of Joe Rogan.
I mean, he's not the founder of Maps. It's
No,
kind of weird, right?
he is. He is.
No, because he got Maps from somewhere and then like brought it. That's right.
It's not what I understand. I think he founded it.
Okay, sure.
And because of Joe Rogan's pull, he's able to get straight from the source.
He'll be able to get MDMA straight from the source. That is correct.
This guy has the best stuff in the world.
Well, he's going to have a 6-year window in which to sell it when nobody else can. That's what was so interesting about this podcast.
Dude, this guy got a kilo of the best MDMA in the world. You know how much that fucking street value is?
Because you could cut it with fentanyl.
Okay,
First
sure.
of all, MAPS is not cutting their fucking
Yes.
MDMA with fentanyl.
I do have to say, though, the one thing that bothered me about this podcast, and it was probably the only thing, is just that, like, there's people all over the States locked up for this shit, and they're currently, like, trialing it on cops and soldiers, and it's like, we got to choose a lane here. Either it's a horrible thing that's illegal and we're going to lock people up for it, or it has, you know what I mean? Like, and I get it, we're in this gray area right now where we're coming around, but I don't know.
I thought
It's just crazy that a cop is getting MDMA treatment and then still simultaneously probably
Arresting someone
locking
for
people up. Yeah, it just seems odd.
I realized that we are in this, like before 69 or whatever, when Nixon busted all this stuff, that was a golden age
Yeah.
of psychedelics.
Yeah.
Bad. And now we're been in the dark ages, and like 5 years from now, or whatever this guy's timeline was, it's going to be enlightened again. Do you know what I mean?
Well, that's the hope. I mean, it
That's
feels like
the
we're coming
idea.
along. Yeah.
There's no way every prisoner should get this treatment. Every inmate, even though it's ironic that someone's in there for it, whether it be
Well, if we're actually trying to help people, then yeah, they should. If we're trying to rehabilitate people, yes.
every prisoner obviously, or not obviously, but has some sort of PTSD, which probably made them cause a crime that got him in there. Like, this should be a no-brainer for...
Not only a no-brainer, but like, think about what they're saying. If they're correct and they can regrow neural pathways and things like that, that is such a huge fucking deal.
Well, and what have we been doing for the last 60 years?
If
Well, no,
prisons
but
for
this is what
rehabilitation.
this is what I forget. Just the yes, totally, but just on a bigger scale than that. Like, it's so huge.
But again,
It should
Simon,
be-
too, like when I say what have we been doing for 60 years, I mean, like, if you think of all the technological breakthroughs we've had in 60 years, if they had been working on this in tandem,
Yeah.
we could be
And-
moving.
and the same
we
with
could we could have built
marijuana.
10 more pyramids with our minds.
Exactly, and the same with marijuana.
Well, weed's a fucking no-brainer. I mean,
No, but again, same thing. Like, what have we been doing for the past 60 years? They could have been running the research on it at this point. Imagine where we'd be with the psilocybin, with the dude. We'd be living a much happier existence. There's no doubt about that.
more peaceful, too, I think.
And that just doesn't jive with
let's-
like
what I was gonna
people
say is-
who want your souls.
but what I was going to say is that also sounds like a lot less people locked up
Yeah.
in North America.
Yeah. And that doesn't jive with these private prison systems. And it all comes back to like the people who are holding these things up are holding it up for reasons that are so, what's the word? Self-serving, right? Like, I have to stop marijuana from getting legalized because I personally make a lot of money off people being in prison. That one person who gains that little bit of money is setting back humanity by
Yeah.
Well,
like these are big things, man. And anyways,
the
nobody's talking
conspiracy-minded
about it.
person would go so far to say that they realize if they did this for everyone realized that the whole system's full of shit, and you guys are full of shit.
Yeah, probably.
Because what we said, when they discovered mushrooms in 1950, Gordon Wasson, who was this is interesting. He was public relations for J.P. Morgan.
That's
Okay.
never good.
So he's with a bank.
Yeah.
And as Doblin said, he found it as he was with a CIA agent by happenstance.
Oh, look
Which
at
led to
Simon's-
MK
look at
Ultra.
Sorry, can you go backwards there for a sec? I'm not understanding what you're saying.
When they discovered mushrooms, he
Yeah.
was saying that it was a J.P. Morgan.
Mushrooms were around thousands of years ago to what we know. And then, again, it appears there was the Dark Ages. And then they heard about these tribes, whatever, peyote, whatever, found them. And he was with the CIA agent when he found the mushrooms.
Listen, we know, I ought to just
Let Simon take a second
Simon
here.
2.0 because I don't
Drop
want to
some
talk
knowledge.
about the CIA, but we know that there's a group of people out there who were using psychedelics to do some pretty wonky things, a la Manson. And more than that, like, look back at a lot of those serial killers. Like Son of Sam, like that whole. Did you watch that? You both did.
Sons.
I didn't know.
You
did.
didn't?
But let me ask you this. So, and I know you don't probably have the answer, but let's just play this. Let's play this out. So, does the CIA figure out that all these psychedelics have positive properties and are then trying to smear them, or have they not figured that out yet? Like, this is my question to you. Like, what do you think if you're a young CIA agent trying to make your druthers?
Well, I don't know what those young CIA agents know, but the group that, because the CIA is just, it's a name that we give to.
I understand.
Like, there's obviously a real CIA out there who's doing things. I don't know what those things are, but there's a group of people who transfer with power through administrations and through time, presumably. And these guys are like that dark arm. That's what I'm alluding to. I think, I don't know what you call them.
Sure, but my point is does that dark arm of the CIA or whatever the fuck you want
They
to call
know
them,
the benefits of mushrooms.
and they're trying to smear it out of fear of enlightenment or
Yeah, I would imagine, like Kamar was saying earlier, if you have enough people having these like awakenings, eventually they're going to see through your bullshit.
I think
And we're living in a society where like there's a very thin layer of bullshit, you know? And if you can see through that.
Yeah, my question is this. So like let's say you do a ton of mushrooms, a bunch. Like are you all of a sudden just going to walk out into the woods and give up on society and like all the cuz that's
No, but maybe you start questioning a little more. Like maybe, look, most people don't vote, right? Like that's just a fact.
50%, something like that.
listen to things about all the things that can happen, and then they just don't do it. Maybe if you get enough people who are like, you know, actually thinking for a change, that people are going to get out there and try and make a difference. And I don't mean make a difference like save the world. I mean make a difference like they want their voice to count for something.
or see the news for the bullshit it is.
That too, all that stuff.
yeah,
you know?
I just my problem is like if you're
See
the
David Lee Roth for who he is.
my problem with the argument though is if you're the CIA, you control the two parties anyway, right? So you don't even need to like if everyone's enlightened, you still only have two choices. You have A or B. And if we control A or B, then what does it matter if you're enlightened?
I just think the mission of the CIA is to persuade.
I agree with that.
Persuade us, persuade Chinese, persuade whoever they want. And I think that they see these chemicals as tools to persuade, and they want them or want them to themselves. Because obviously they've done this research that this guy could have added to with maps, right? The knowledge they must know that they'll never reveal, I guess.
I imagine, and just to answer your previous question, Addy, I imagine like, you know, there are guys in this branch who are getting their information maybe passed down to them from previous generations, and they're trying the stuff out for themselves. And then they're like, oh shit, this is perfect. We're going to use this to Manchurian candidate a bunch of people or whatever, you know, and then they use it to their own benefit. But there probably was like a concerted effort to keep this stuff out of the lexicon.
Fair enough.
I mean, we know there was, right? Like we see it right in front of us.
I know that we know there was, but that's why I'm asking. And I know we don't have the answer either, but I'm just trying to, you know, what would be your good hypothesis is my question. Like, and you kind of answered it there, but that's it. Is do they know it's because there has to be something nefarious, right?
That they're trying to keep away from us.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
it's like I've had this argument with you before where like is the CIA actually in all their tomfoolery protecting us, or is it just a fucking sham
I mean, I think it's pretty obvious when you look at the things that they focus their attention on that they're trying to keep some pretty good shit from you. You know what I mean? Like, look, I guess your question is the CIA's plan to keep people from having a good time? No, that's probably not what they're
No, I don't think it's that. I'm just saying, like, do you think, like, what exactly is behind it? Because it's not just like, oh, we just can't let them be enlightened. I don't, because
I think it's twofold. I think they use it for their own devices to, because they ran tests on that shit the same way they did with ESP and remote viewing. And then I imagine that stuff, the ability to use your mind to move rocks or to see things in the future or whatever. If those things do exist and they were using them in like ancient times.
Yeah.
And they were like, translating that forward, the CIA would have the knowledge of that going in. That's what I'm saying, I guess.
Fair enough.
And then they decide how they're going to use it.
Okay.
I don't know.
I think that it's to not expose them and which does go. We've seen enough movies where they show the CIA is complicit,
Yeah.
Like, what was the Tom Cruise one?
American.
About the smuggler, but they show there's always a CIA guy with a beard and glasses. Like, I know this is what you want to do, but this is what we have to do.
Well, and that's why I imagine that like the group that actually runs shit behind the scenes doesn't give a fuck that people think that the CIA is full of bad people. You know what I mean? They just don't care.
Well, because it's also a faceless organization.
This is what I'm saying. Like behind the scenes, they're getting their ways. So what does it matter? They just have to maintain like enough, keep enough people in the dark, and they're fine. Which is most people, because most people don't do the psychedelics, Matt. It's all coming full circle here.
Great.
I thought it was interesting when he started off talking about how his DMT trip, he realized that everyone has the ability to be a Hitler. Like we are all.
We all have it in us.
But everything is the same. Like you are Hitler, I'm Hitler, I'm Simon. Like if you look at the connection of molecular like makeup, right? The same thing that made this planet makes. I know.
I mean, I just don't I don't really get it. Maybe I haven't done enough
DMT.
or
If
like
dinosaurs,
psychedelics,
if dinosaurs existed, you're from the same matter that they were here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I get that. We're the
all
same, like we
interconnected.
came from the same matter, but we're not the same.
No, not literally, but he's just saying, I came from the same place Hitler came from. Like it's all possible.
I think you should have some humility in that you could have ended up being Hitler, maybe.
Yeah, but okay. So sorry. Are there a lot of? Are you denying the fact that you could be evil?
No, no.
No, neither am I.
Everyone has evil in them.
I don't think it occurs to people, but when you do some heavy psychedelics, you see everything like almost as if you're looking down on it as an out-of-body experience. It was just interesting because this guy's selling the proponents and the positivity of all this stuff, and he still brings up the story almost as a warning or a forethought. The point, I think he said he attributed to Einstein, but I don't think it was Einstein, is that technology has outgrown humanity.
Yeah.
And now, because we're losing our humanity, we need psychedelics to wrangle us back in and actually see what's important. It's almost like it's meant to be, but it's just a weird roundabout way that we've had to get here.
And we're not really getting there. That's
Well,
the problem.
I thought from listening to this, he explained in real good detail why it isn't overnight flip the switch. Okay, now you can go to Shoppers Drug Mart and get LSD or whatever. All this stuff has to be approved. They are doing the tests.
Well, the most important part I thought was like you have to train the people who are then going to administer these drugs. Like it's not enough to just legalize you. Like that's what they're doing, right? They're training all these people to.
Well, from this episode, I've decided this is what I'm going to try to do. I'm going to try to be an MDMA therapist.
You want to be an MDMA therapist?
Why not? I couldn't think of anything cooler.
Well, okay, sorry.
I mean, it's 10 years away before they're going to need therapists. So now's the time. So I have time to do it. And could you imagine anything cooler than doing day-to-day? Helping someone work through some serious shit. You know what I mean? Like, as an interesting... what to do to pass your time. It sure sounds more interesting than painting and easier on the body.
I wonder if they're just taking anybody off the street to be these therapists, or you have to have like a background in like psychology or psychiatry or some other.
See, that's the thing about therapists. I don't think you have to be a doctor, but I still think it would take 2 to 3 years of schooling or whatever to get in a position to be eligible. By a therapist, I don't think you need any. There'll be.
No, I'd be
know what I mean?
interested to know what the qualifications are to be one of these shamans.
Like our psychologists aren't doctors.
First of all, the government will give you a fucking ton of money if you want to go back to school.
For something, but this seems really interesting and on the ground floor sort of thing, and something I could do into my 70s as an interest is get up every morning and go help people through traumatic stuff. That sounds interesting and doable.
And then get a discount on all your trips.
Well, I thought it was interesting how he says that the more you do it, the less it. Like, there's a sweet spot for doing MDMA, I think.
Well, that sweet spot I think is like 40 plus times. I mean,
So I'm on the outside now. You know what I mean? Like,
you've done it more than 40 times. You've done not like real MDMA.
in a year.
Okay.
No, maybe not in a year. Maybe in 2 years. There was a time when I was working at the comic club where I worked with this university kid, and he just had piles of it.
Never done it.
But I was
Me
doing
either.
Shirley.
Actually? You've done
No,
Oh, really?
I
But
was
I'll
doing
tell you
Shirley
all the drugs
recreationally
you've
and maybe irresponsibly at some, because like he said, there's no bad drugs. There's just bad uses of the
Yeah.
drugs.
yeah, that's very interesting.
Where it's the dose, the situation, and whatever. You know what I mean? Everything has a reason, but our humanity causes us to abuse stuff.
Well, not even abuse it. Like he brought up thalidomide, which he was like, we realized caused like deformities in babies. But after a lot of tests and figuring it out, we realized that we can still use it in certain cases. We just can't use it with certain people. So,
Well, and that's why his description of like, if you have a hammer, you can hit yourself in the balls or whatever. That's really true, because anything, like, you can make coffee.
It has a
bad.
use
You
and an
can-
abuse.
No, I'm saying like pick anything you like.
hey, you can do
You
it
can
poorly.
make that bad because you do it too much. That's how it works.
Yeah.
So you guys would like to work for MAPS, right?
Well, I would, because I like their policy on getting
Smokable
high
tasks.
at work.
That is interesting.
We got to come with some ideas. Everyone get really high. Come by the office in 15 minutes.
I mean, I've said this for the last like 10 or 15 years. I just don't understand why you can't get a little high at work. Depending on what you do, of course. Like if you're operating heavy machinery near
Probably don't
people,
want to.
yeah. But like if I literally am doing a menial task, like dude, I worked for the government when I was 19. My job with 3 other people, no joke, was to put together 40,000 pamphlets and then stuff them in envelopes, and then
Should have given you
and then sealed
a
them.
ration of marijuana for that.
What I'm just saying is like that kind of job. Like, do you could you ever see a world where you care if that guy's high? I mean, if you can visually see that he's doing the job, like, what do you care if it's like a cigarette? Like he steps out.
I don't care.
I'm not saying you. I'm just saying in general. It seems crazy that like there's so many shit jobs out there where it should almost be encouraged. Like, please get a little high. This is.
I think it is now.
I think I don't know if we're getting there, because corporate America is still fucking.
We're not getting there. Even with weed being legalized here, you still have all the same.
I mean, listen, it's crazy to me. I've always said, like, if you walk into a head shop that sells pot, what I want behind the counter is some long-haired Spicoli high out of his fucking tree. That's what I want. He's going to give me the shit. He's going to tell me what's up.
Yeah, they're worried about.
I know, over-serving and all this other crazy
all the
shit.
rules that go along with that. You're going to be too high to fucking pay attention.
I get it, because again,
to.
they're treating it like booze, which is they're using this weird template that doesn't quite fit, and it just seems, again, I think we will fix this in a lot of time, but I'm just happy it's legal here. We can't complain. Like, there's states, and dude, someone posted a photo the other day of a 3 kilogram ball of wax. And someone commented below, they were like, I can't imagine the amount of jail time this would get me in my state. And it just shows you where we're at, how crazy it is that, like...
Well, it drives me crazy when Joe, he actually mentioned Ottawa by name this week.
Oh, it was insane. We'll get to that. We'll get to
about
that.
how little rights we have. Like, we have legal weed. You can't even smoke weed on air without fear of having the fucking feds bust down your door. You know what I mean?
We'll get to that. We'll get to
Yeah, I
that.
was going to say, because I got a lot to
So
say about
that's
that too.
fucking
But yeah.
bullshit,
Yeah,
man.
yeah. I mean, either way.
I don't know about you. Well, I know we don't have private prisons up here. Do they have private prisons in Texas?
Save it for the next one.
So fuck off.
I honestly feel like, listen to this guy, we are right at the end and the beginning of a whole new era. Like,
Yeah, I totally agree, Kamar.
well, I was frustrated that he's saying he needs to raise $150 million. Like, shouldn't Bill Gates throw $150 million that way?
they should.
Like, with an arm's length, so he has nothing to do with it. Like,
I mean, I can think of a million places that should throw.
thank you.
The problem is he was talking about the VA. The VA is one of the most criminally underfunded things in the States. The Veterans Affairs Office. It's
Oh
supposed
my
to.
God, but did you hear the number he threw out of how much they pay at VA a year? It's like $7 billion.
Yeah, but they don't do shit. That's the point.
I'm
like,
just saying that's a crazy amount of money,
it should be triple that.
I guess.
Well, I mean, listen, if you're sending all these people to war, when they come back, they have to be taken
Oh,
care
no,
of.
I agree. You know my...
and then once you get everyone on psychedelics, no one will join the army.
Well, that could be another thing,
well,
yeah.
if everybody was on psychedelics,
There wouldn't
nobody
need an
would want
army.
to fight. Yeah.
There's that too.
So
But I think that's what he's saying is like, if all of a sudden the U.S. becomes this enlightened fucking place where everyone's just high on psychedelics, Russia's just going to be like, guess what? We're washing our balls with ice water over here.
They're about to make a lot of money though, because once this does go through and they do start having these clinics, and then they can only buy for 6 years from, like, that's...
it's a monopoly.
Kevin O'Leary was on Bloomberg the other day saying he thinks that the psychedelic market is going to dwarf the marijuana market. Like, it's going to make the marijuana market look fucking piddly compared
Well, he's
to
probably saying
He's
that
probably
because
deeply
he's
invested
deep
as well.
in,
Yeah, but
trying to fucking
but he's got a
Elon
point.
Musk this
He's
thing.
got a point though, because if weed, like,
It's bigger, man. I agree. It could be bigger. The difference is I feel like the taboo on psychedelics is even more than the taboo on marijuana. And it takes so long to get through that, even in the legal market.
I mean, I feel like all it takes is proof. If you have a bunch of like veterans that have crippling PTSD and they all start coming forward saying MDMA therapy, ketamine therapy, psilocybin therapy fixed me, they're going to tell all their, like,
yeah, but
it doesn't
there'll be groups of people making sure that message never gets out there because, you know,
well, the
they're
lobbyists is the real
selling
problem.
drugs.
Well, I was going to say
are-
Pfizer is the real problem because they're going to be like, no. Listen, we have
This
an
is-
antidepressant that'll do just what this is doing.
This is it. Yeah.
Well,
And-
he also said they fucked up with Oxycontin, so they're gun shy about getting into this now.
Well, yeah. I mean, OxyContin was a disaster in the States.
But they should think the total opposite. Like, this is a priority to make right what
It's
we've
true.
done
That
wrong.
thinking is like the nuclear thinking, you know? Oh, we had one bad meltdown, so we're not going to use nuclear energy anymore. No, you had one bad meltdown, so you're going to make damn well sure that you put the infrastructure in that never happens again.
well,
But
we
this
realized
is
it
the
wasn't one
best-
bad meltdown, though.
It was because of incompetence, though. It was like
But what about Japan?
same thing. These
3 Mile Island?
these.
But this is what I'm saying is we can't be trusted with that kind of, it seems as though we can't be trusted with that kind of technology.
I just think that we're just like everything else that humans do. When we put our minds to it, they do it. This one, they just said, no, in this case, it's too. And again, it probably had something to do with other lobbying groups that wanted another type of energy and more. And this was a perfect way for them to say, don't use that, this renewable energy.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Chernobyl, we were literally 1 inch away from
yeah.
end of days.
Totally.
That's it.
Totally. What if I told you though, Matt, just hear me out. What if I told you like Chernobyl happened, but it happened because the people who own the oil conglomerates wanted only their product to be the energy. So they created these scenarios in which everybody said, oh, of course, we can't do that anymore because for the exact reasons you're saying. And then we end up exactly where we are today. Had we done the opposite and said, look, we need to keep working with this energy because it's renewable and because that way we're not going to sacrifice the rest of our planet. We're just going to make sure that we do this uber safe.
Here's my thing. You guys are the ones that argue like the technology back then, there's no way they sent a man to the moon. You know what I mean? So the way I look at it is we didn't have the technology back then to be dealing with that kind of shit. And I think maybe now we've caught up.
Sure.
So they should have shelved it and been like, listen, down the road, once we're 100% that we can't fail or fuck up, then we implement this properly. Maybe I'm there with you, but
That's sort of what they did with this second
Okay.
program,
I don't hate that.
right? It was going on hard in the 60s, and they shelved it, and now we're here.
Yeah, but they shelved it for no reason.
well, that's the big problem. Is it?
We were ready to deal with that.
Yeah.
I
There
guess
wasn't going
it
to
was
be
their
meltdowns and
propaganda that it was making people go insane and stuff.
shit. Yeah, the same way they propagized against propagized. Is that even a word?
I don't know. I like it,
Propagated against marijuana with the
I'm putting it
reefer
all- I'm
madness
putting it all in
and
the
the
same-
fucking
same-
yeah, black guys are gonna fuck your daughters.
yeah, exact. Whoa,
that was the reefer madness thing. Trust me.
Mexicans.
Black guys get
and-
high and
anyways,
then they're
yeah.
gonna rape your daughters. That was
Again, CIA operative. Just saying.
He contends 14 years from now, you'll be able to go buy LSD, MDMA, whatever you want.
that seems too far away, but I'm fine with that. That should be tomorrow.
Well, but he said it's all the testing, the money.
Yeah, I get it. The FDA, yeah,
making
that's
the pills. It was very interesting because I don't know if we talked on air, but just about how you get even edibles. You know what I mean? How you can make sure out of 100 edibles you make, they're all the same dose, and that's a huge process. I think, from what I heard, this is the biggest thing. Is distilling all these things out. They want to make mushrooms without the hallucinogens. We talked about that. That's great.
Mushrooms without the hallucinogens.
Well, he's just saying some people think hallucinogens are the negative side.
Hallucinogens, first of all, only come at like huge doses. So if
gonna
you're
say, you gotta take- yeah, I was
microdosing
gonna say, you gotta
mushrooms,
take a lot.
you're only getting like the good focus part of it. Let's call it.
What
You're
if you
not
could
getting any
eliminate
of
the
it.
hallucinogen even more, and you could do more, and you'd feel even
Well, no,
better?
I'm
Maybe, I
with
don't
you.
know.
That's what they're doing in the cannabis industry, right? Like they're
CBD,
extracting all the
THC.
CBD.
I know what
out
Kamar's
and-
saying though. Like if you could take mushrooms and just have that DVD vision,
Yep.
with that like almost giggly
That's
like
what the
feel good.
microdosing is, and the idea of microdosing is that you're starting with a very low amount,
I
and then
understand.
you're adjusting as you go.
The come down off mushrooms that's what I fucking despise. I can't do it.
Well, you'll never want to do MDMA.
Ugh.
Because that's the one thing no one shies around. That
Is
when
the
you
day
when
after?
you fucking mainline your serotonin, suck it all out. The next day, it doesn't matter who the guy is. But I think if psychologically you know that's going to happen, it's a bit easier to take. But it's the weirdest thing to have no emotion or whatever. Just be like, and it goes away. It's
Yeah.
never stuck, but it really is the worst feeling after.
It's never stuck. Kamar's just this emotionless fucking void.
But I've tried to articulate it. Like it was the hardest to do stand up comedy. Like I had no.
The
Well, it's
day
because you
after.
gave it all the night before.
I gave it all the night before,
Yeah.
and
You just had nothing left.
but you think I'll just
Yeah,
I'll
suck
just
it
get
up.
that good old rally, and you there's nothing to draw upon. I just thought it was super interesting. So I mean, doing it and knowing you need at least that day after to recover, I see it coming. Because sometimes mushrooms I can get away with. You just start yawning a lot or whatever.
See, this is where I'm a hypocrite though, because like then when Joe was like, "What about booze at work?" and he was like, "Listen, I mean, in moderation, if that's what you need," I was like, "Well, that's kind of where I draw the line." Like if I owned a business, I'd be like, "Listen, you want to take a toot of a joint or go nuts?" But
Well, that's
like,
the problem with the weed too. Is like, where do you draw the line? Everybody's different. One toot affects this person one way, and another toot affects somebody totally different. You know.
yeah, but I mean, we live in a world where you can simply, if someone gets too high, then you go up to them, you go, "Listen, you have to dial it back. You can't be like this at work." And then if they continue like that, then you fire them and you find something. You know what I mean? Most people are going to find their spot or they're not going to do it. I think that's.
Yeah, I mean, I get why. For the same reason you wouldn't want people drunk at work, you wouldn't want people high at work.
Simon, I've been around you. You're not different high at all.
Dude, I'm not saying for everybody. You know, I'm probably better stoned than I am sober.
I probably haven't seen you sober in 5 years.
Yeah.
I mean, probably not.
Well, no,
Yeah.
it's, and sober makes it sound like sober, like you were inebriated. I mean, just not high. I don't know if I've ever seen you not high.
That's what I'm saying. And
Of
again,
course you have.
And I get what you're saying.
Not
Yes,
in the
you
recent.
can't-
Not in the recent.
Everyone's different. I understand, but I'm just saying is I think most people are pretty responsible at work at a certain age. You know, young people are a little bit different, but most people they do show up to work to put in their 8 hours.
Yeah, no, I'll agree with that. I just think that because there are so many fucking variables in people, that's why people don't do that. It's like
I think it's coming though. I do. I truly do.
Self-driving cars, like the real self-driving cars, we've talked about this, is also a different turning point. Because that's part of the reason why you can't just do these things, right?
Well, did you not see what Grimes got lit the fuck up on Twitter this week? She came out and was like, all my fellow communists, you need to listen to what I'm saying. She wrote this long piece about how AI can bring upon like true communism in the sense that no one has to farm then. Because AI will just do it all for us. So we don't need forced farming. Everyone can have theirs. And then everyone was like, it's ironic that you're talking about communism being married to the fucking richest man on earth. But I mean, it is interesting. Like, you're right. If once we automate a lot of stuff, it's a fucking game changer.
Possibly. I don't know what's going to happen with this. Like, say it all goes wrong.
What, the psychedelic
Yeah.
experiment? Like, we all just get
Like,
enlightened and Russia does come over?
We all find out we did need to hold back. And this, because the thing is, he said, is not about just doing this. And Bob's your uncle, the therapy, the hands-on, that's like
Yeah, you can't just do MDMA.
massively important for it to be effective.
maybe enough people getting on that like right path, let's call it, and that same wavelength, that is the X factor.
I've said that. I think so. I think that's not out of the realm of possibility.
See, this is the thing. Like, I like that they're talking about this and it needs to be spoken about. It needs to be brought to light. My only problem is that some people will listen to this that have drug problems and all they're going to hear is like, MDMA is going to fix me. I'm going to be okay. Or you know what I mean? Or the massive amounts of mushrooms I'm doing.
I thought he did a good job.
I agree.
Even doing the explanation, like someone did better with a placebo.
Yeah.
So
Sometimes it's just in your mind. Yeah.
He's adamant that this isn't just the magic bullet, but just considering that, like I said at the beginning, there was a period before the gray area when Timothy Leary, who we found out through this, he lied about results, which definitely discredited the whole movement, to Nixon make it illegal, to now it's going to be
You never know.
supersonic.
All that could happen, like all it takes is one person during a trial to die. And like you said, all of a sudden it's fucking...
No, this is the chance we take, but I really think, like how Eastwood and Joe were talking about 1920 to 2020,
Yeah.
the changes that's happened. And it seems like technology's sort of not petering out, but our limitations are. So maybe the next leap has to be, I don't know if it's psychological, but just...
I don't know that our limitations are coming. Like, again, Elon Musk wants to put a fucking chip in your head so that you have...
But cars can't
Well,
go much
and maybe
faster.
this is the fight against that.
But again, cars can't go much faster. We find out in the next episode that they just broke the like 0 to 60.
The car costs $2.4 million.
But I'm just saying is like they are still pushing that. I mean,
But it's getting close to like 0 to 100 in zero. Like,
yeah, but you know what? It's like running. Like we always like running is one of those things where you're like, oh, well, no one's going to break the 100-meter in this time. And then someone breaks it by a fraction of a second. And then everyone's like,
no one's going to run the 100 meters in 5 seconds ever.
but again,
As entertaining that would be.
But you're an X Factor guy and you don't know that. Like we can't say for sure definitively in 100 years.
Becoming a cyborg? No, I don't think it's possible.
Elon will probably fight the psychedelics, though, because it's in his best interest for people
Fuck
to
Elon.
not get enlightened and to put the chip into their neck. No, I'm being serious here.
I'm being very
Like he'll
serious.
be one of those roadblocks to this happening, and a lot of people will be, right? Like there's a lot of people who probably don't want psychedelics.
Can we call him
coming
Captain
into the-
Cum Rocket from now on?
Sure.
Till the next bungle.
Till the next bungle.
I'm so on your boat now with Elon. I'm sorry it took
I
me
mean,
long to come
I
around.
think it's a no-brainer, man.
I believe it was me a year and a half ago that was like, I'm not sold on this guy. I think he's a swindler.
I believe it was used well, and it'd be super interesting if he came out and poo-pooed psychedelics or anything.
Well, we'll see who comes out and poo-poos the psychedelics, because that'll give you a real clear picture of the landscape.
The problem, though, is you have right-wing people like Dan Crenshaw on board, so it's tough for people to poo-poo it when both sides...
Well, let's find out, man, because somebody's going to want to put a stop to this.
I
you
agree.
know who it's going to be. It's going to be the drug companies, and
Of
who's
course,
going to
yeah.
back those drug companies. And this is going to be that clear divide, I think, of...
I mean, again, 3 years ago, we would have said the same thing about weed. And like right now, I'm convinced that in the next 5 years, it will be legal federally in the States.
Yeah, I mean, it can't be that much longer there. Again, we'll see who and what puts up a real fight.
I mean, I imagine a lot of Republican states will fight it, but if they make it legal federally, there's not really much you can do.
Let's
Well,
hope.
you can secede if you're Texas.
Yeah, they won't do that over weed.
My biggest problem with the Neuralink, as I was thinking, is that, like, you know, with your phone, you get terms of service. Now, have you noticed with apps, they'll say you can decline
The tracking,
or whatever? You can't do that with your brain.
Well,
Is
yeah.
it only contact to read this part of my brain? Because we don't even know what we're dealing with. So the data that if he starts put on Neuralinks, he'd have access to is just inhuman.
I mean, yes and no, because you never know. Maybe it's limited to your own memory. As in, maybe all your memories, maybe the whole 38 years I've lived isn't actually up there. It's really only what I've retained.
Or like something in my brain that I don't want anyone ever to know.
I understand what you're saying. Yeah, totally. You don't want your darkest
That's
secret.
the problem.
I mean, listen, we know
He's
that.
going to inject chips into people's necks, and then all of a sudden people are going to get convicted of crimes because he's precogging.
Oh, it's Minority
It
Report.
sounds
yeah.
like a Black Mirror episode.
No, it's Minority Report. You said precog too. That's the fucking shit from Minority Report.
The strangest thing I've noticed is, do you remember if someone told you they did ketamine, you'd be like, oh.
Dude, my ex-girlfriend used to do ketamine
I'm
all
sorry
the
to hear
time.
it. I'm sorry to hear that. Like, it's
But she did like stupid, like she'd go into K-holes. Remember hearing about
Yeah,
those?
you,
Yes,
you would say, yeah, horse tranquilizers. Look at this fucking reject.
all these things. I never heard someone doing ketamine and like, we got our hands on ketamine. Like, oh, my condolences. Like, I hope you get help with that. And it turns out maybe again they were abusing it. This girl was abusing or whatever.
Oh, she was for sure.
But it's more therapeutic than it is bad. Well, it just I think
again, if you
Theo
do
Vaughn
it
is I
In a
know,
therapeutic
but
setting, yeah.
I never thought this, but this guy talks about it. Everyone talks about it.
But that's not how you get the kids. Do you know what I mean? You're not like, do these mushrooms. You're going to have like a self-reflection and it's
No.
going to be great. No, you're like, you're going to hallucinate green elves, you know? It's the same with the...
But I think what ketamine helps do is sort of reinforce that idea that your thoughts are not you. That you sit there and you see all this stuff and there's someone there with you, make you realize I'm making all this up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's like when you do a drug that makes you float outside of your body and you start looking down at yourself. And I know that's really literal, but that's the first step, right? In actually looking down at yourself because you have no choice because you're raised above your body.
But the key
It's
is
the perspective it puts you in.
someone's there acknowledging you, validating you, and telling you it's not real or whatever.
Well, yeah, the problem is when it gets too scary to function. Because some scary is good, right? When you're tripping, it adds adversity and that helps you to like get where you're going. But if it becomes too much, like a really bad trip, you've ever really had a bad trip?
But he explained that
No, I know. I realize that.
more than I ever knew before we've ever had the term bad trip or whatever. Like he was saying some people do it and all of a sudden we bring up a traumatic sexual assault or something and it's like, and that's the bad trip. But he's also saying that is a sweet point to punch through. Mm-hmm. Or you shy away from
Well,
it.
right. If you're afraid of spiders and all of a sudden you're seeing giant spiders, well, this is what I was trying to get at is at that point you have a decision, right? You're either going to like fight or flight, curl up in a ball and have a really bad trip, or you're going to face your spiders and come out the other side.
And this is why the therapist is like as important as the chemical.
That's right. And that's why this guy's whole thing with including the therapy in it, like it's not enough to just put this drug out on the market. It has to come with a doctor that goes with it.
Well, he touched my soul, and I couldn't think of anything better to devote my life to be doing. And I think I have a wealth of, I don't have the schooling, but a wealth of experience with people and stuff that I could be an effective therapist.
Simon 2.0, you want to take a minute there?
Yeah, I could see Kamar being an okay therapist. I think the most important thing for a therapist is you got to be like true to yourself. So if you're like hiding things from yourself, then you probably won't be effective in helping other people. Like,
I'm sure you learned that.
You know?
In the course and find out you're
yeah, well,
not
that's
good at it.
That's just it. You get a discount on the
Your
trials.
own therapy?
Yeah, exactly. Well, you don't get you on your therapy.
I
You
thought
get
there was
somebody else.
no reason for Joe to bring up the jiu-jitsu marijuana thing. Like we were going so good, and then he just had to include it somehow.
Well, whatever.
Well, he was pointing out that it can help you.
Yeah.
I thought that was interesting.
I thought it was just his way of pulling fighting into it.
Well, but again, you never, like, until Joe mentioned that, I never would have thought in my life that there was a jiu-jitsu tournament or a grappling tournament where you actively got high, like, as you rolled. I just never would have thought.
We knew about it.
I know we knew about it. I knew about it too. I'm just saying, previous to Joe mentioning it the first time he mentioned it, you never would have thought that was a thing.
No, yeah.
But not to learn.
What do you mean?
So you if you're learning stuff, you don't smoke on jiu-jitsu. It's only practicing the stuff you've learned. I thought it was a very interesting distinction as well.
I mean, I think everyone's different. For Joe, that might be the case.
He's my only example.
Oh, fair enough.
Any jiu-jitsu here?
Sorry?
And jiu-jitsu here?
I used to
Here?
do
Jiu-jitsu?
jiu-jitsu. Well, you know this, man.
Were you
Yeah,
better?
Simon mentioned.
Were you
Muay Thai.
better stoned or sober?
I only got through like 2 classes of the skipping, and there wasn't a whole lot of,
That's how they weed you out.
it's the skipping.
Did they take your white belt away from you when you're leaving? Leave it at the
No,
door.
You get to keep the white belt.
Well, you paid for it, so yeah.
Yeah. And your gi.
That's why they know the white belt means nothing.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's free.
Oh,
The first
no.
black stripe, though, that.
Picturing you in a gi is just fucking priceless.
There were no gis, Matt. You wore like shorts and a t-shirt. Oh my god.
Even better.
And there was no
You and-
belts.
No
This
belts.
this podcast inspired me.
It
to see
clearly
what I
did.
wanted to
Yeah, I
vote
wish you luck in
rest of
your
my life to do.
I wish you luck in your.
And there's a lot of numbers going around, and it should be like the money raised by now.
If this is really something you want to do, you should start doing it right now.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I came here to announce.
Go get a grant from the government.
No, I it's already applied at Maps.
You already applied at Maps?
Yeah, as you were saying it, I went into it.
Okay, but I meant if you want to be a psychologist first, you might want to go get a government
Well,
grant and
maybe
go
you
back to
don't.
school.
I
Maybe
just
you
wanna be a
don't have
therapist.
to. Maybe you just have to be some schmuck off the street.
I know a comedian friend who's a therapist who is a psychologist.
If they're training you, who knows, man?
It's virtual training.
Maybe it's better not to have a person who's like saddled down with.
Well, he also said-
Rockefeller medicine. You know,
If you read the Maps thing, it's 2 therapists. Right now, you need 2 therapists and a doctor on site. They're moving to get that change, but you still it's a 2-person thing.
to teach you.
No, to treat a person. I wonder if it's like so you can have a good cop, bad cop, or something. But he was like sort of adamant it's good to have a man and a woman there, like 2 therapists, which I think is super interesting. So if I could be the B therapist and the A therapist, like we said, this is 10 years away, so I have time to get myself a position. But I don't think I have to go to like medical school for 10 years.
No,
I
also
would have to
don't
take it
think You
seriously.
have to go to medical school.
Or I'll do it on
I
the black
wonder.
market.
Well, you applied. You didn't notice whether you needed any prerequisites.
No, it asks for a CV and a description of yourself.
I kill people. My name's Kamar.
I paint houses.
Yeah, that's what I said.
But in any ways, it's not like this is something like I got to get it done in 6 months or all the jobs are be gone. But this is a realistic, I don't want to say noble, but something like you ask me on a day, what are you going to do for the rest of life? I have no idea. You know, obviously I'd love to tour as a comedian, but as David Lee Roth said, he said the best performances are when you're in Vegas or whatever. You know what I mean? As you get older, the body does not want to travel city to city anymore. So that seems to me, the older I get, a tortured existence. Just scraping by to live out of hotels. Whereas if I was doing something rewarding, I could do that once in a while or not even. But this just seems realistic. You know what I mean? Like what if you could have a career? What would you do? A bookie?
You want a bookie? No.
I'm doing an example. Obviously, that's not the.
Kamar, if I knew what I wanted as a career, I'd be doing it.
You'd like to be an artist?
He is an artist. He just doesn't
To
get
support
paid.
his,
He just
to
doesn't get
support
paid
his
to do
family
so.
with his art. This is what
No.
it's something that you're passionate about doing that you can get paid for. Is
I mean,
a
he
sweet
could be
spot.
supporting his family with
I'm
his art,
pretty
but he's a
passionate
pussy.
about what I'm doing. I'm a lucky guy.
Professional gamer.
I mean, listen, if I had a big enough following where people were going to watch me every day and I could just do that, yes, for sure.
There it is.
Why not?
5 years.
Professional podcaster.
5 years. You're
I mean,
5 years
listen,
away
if we
from that.
if our numbers were going up and not down, and we got like a big following, yeah, and I could turn this into a job for sure. But I don't think any of those are going to happen.
100%. So when I close my eyes, I go, I could paint for the next 15 years.
Yeah.
Although my exit is 50. I don't think my body can take these ladders anymore. I almost fell off the ladder the other day. In front of people.
Can I tell you, my brother-in-law's brother was cleaning
cousin?
his gutters, fell off the ladder, and is now paralyzed. Oh, this shit just happens. You know what I mean? And it happens a lot more when you put yourself in positions to make these things happen.
We got busted by the ministry for the ladders.
Interesting.
We had to do a whole bunch of stuff.
Well,
but-
now that you have a purpose, hopefully you'll be more careful on the ladders.
Oh, yeah. Falling off a ladder and being paralyzed is not cool.
No.
And it's one thing when you're 10 feet up, but when you're 32 feet up, it's...
Yeah.
You sort of forget for a second. Anyways, I don't want to do that for the rest of my life.
No shit.
But being a therapist or some sort of way to help people and talk to people, obviously podcasting would be the greatest thing. Look at the numbers. I don't think I can retire on this.
Maybe there's some meld you could do where you interview people on ketamine on the podcast.
Dude, speaking of
Down the
salaries,
road.
I watched a lot of soccer, and they were talking in soccer. They always break down their salaries in weeks.
Because you never know where we're going to be the next week.
Well, no, they just so they were like, this guy's going to get potentially €8 million salary, and they're like, that's 300,000 euros a week. And when you break it down like that, because I guess you never think about it. Like I always when I was young, I always thought like when an NHL player signed for like $10 million a year, they just got $10 million at like the beginning of the year.
No.
And that was it. No, they get like a paycheck every 2 weeks.
So when you break that down, the fact that like these soccer guys are playing once a week,
Dude,
that means that like
300
each kick is worth
Yeah. but
100 grand.
It's the
No, but they
same.
train a lot too, and like the workouts.
It's the
and
exact same thing.
The travel.
bullshit.
You don't get paid to do comedy. You know, you get paid to travel. But you also didn't get paid for those 15 years of humiliating and grinding it out.
Yeah.
And so all that time they played soccer non-professionally is factored
That's
into
the
that.
same with fucking anything. You don't just become the best and get paid. You know what I mean?
No, but
like,
I get what he's saying. He's like, for
You go to
everyone that
medical
makes,
school, you come out, you're a doctor.
he's saying for everyone that makes
after a whole
300,
lot of years.
You got to pay for medical school.
he's just saying anyone that does something, if you're making fucking $8 million a year playing soccer, you probably gave up a lot of your childhood to,
Social
Early
media,
mornings
social media stars are the one anomaly.
because they just
Like
didn't, they just didn't
TikTokers.
do shit.
Well, no, there are a lot of YouTubers that if you look back did do a lot
Yeah,
of
they
shit.
grinded their ass off.
Grinded
yeah.
their ass off. But this TikTok is a very good anomaly where people just become.
Yeah, and you know what? Maybe just to bring this all full circle, maybe the psilocybin and those drugs and the rise of that is the fight, the force we need to counteract everything that's going on the other side with, you know,
I would agree that
the
100%.
grossness of what our society is becoming.
Because I cannot
TikTok,
care
holy
about
shit.
looking at my phone on mushrooms.
Oh, that's interesting.
Like it's just what is you can feel it curating your thoughts or see like when you're just like the trees are diamonds and this, you know what I mean? Like
That should be the very first
the-
course of the MDMA therapy.
the
They just make
smartphone
you try and
becomes
use
so
your phone.
uninteresting on psychedelics. I find
Well, yeah, because your mind is fucking.
it's going, and
Yeah.
this is like a leash that's putting on your
You
brain.
see through the veil. Ow, that's the thing.
100%.
And that- dude, it's so bad. You see through the veil, and that thing is like a veil making machine.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like
you heard it here, Matt.
It's like the in The Shining. You know, he sees a hot girl, but he gets closer, he sees a
She's an
zombie.
old lady.
When you're bored and not on anything, this is like my information, my entertainment. But when you're like in the zone, this is like, why am I looking at this?
Well, it's the same reason you don't need that when you're out in nature.
Well, especially when you're outside, you don't need to know what the weather is because you're in the weather. You know what I mean? The only reason you could need to know is time to get back before the bears come out and eat you.
Maybe maps. Not this maps, but actual
Yeah.
maps.
But this guy could be a Nobel Peace Prize winner. I got nothing but like this is what this guy explained what the holdup is, why we're not further ahead, and that all wheels are in motion and it's going to happen.
Well, when something like psilocybin gets legalized and they are running all these clinics and the world gets better, this guy should be flaunted at that point. Flouted as like
Lauded.
a shaman of the times. You know what I mean? Because
Actually,
Well, I don't think you should get ahead of yourself.
that was
a lot of work.
That was a story too that was telling. He was talking about how the conquistadors would go and kill all the shaman
right.
first.
Yeah.
So if this guy winds up dead, we know.
No, that is very interesting, right? Like they take out the artifacts that can pass on the information. They take out the people that can pass on the information, and then you just get left with the dark ages, in air quotes, where nobody knows anything, and then somebody somehow gets that information again.
Yeah.
And here we are on the upswing, hopefully.
I thought this was an amazing podcast.
Well, we got to move on. So let's rate it. We'll start with you, Kumar.
4.5. I don't even know why it's not a 5.
Simon.
I'll also give this one a 4.5.
Oh, we have an agreement. We have an agreement.
The only thing is, if we go 14 years from now and this guy's still, we're you know what I mean? Which I don't. I think this is the most. It is said now because we've had a bunch of stuff said before.
Yeah.
And it hasn't come to fruition. This is the one, though. I really
I'd put
believe.
money on in Canada. You'll see this in the next 5 years.
And when we talk about getting rich, this is a new opportunity. There's companies right now that are worth 15 cents that are going to be worth a lot more.
Really, I guess I should put my money where my mouth is then, eh?
There it is.
Yeah. Well, I wish the best to Dick Goblin, and I guess we got to move on.
Forever renamed.
Dick Goblin.
Kumar, number, name?
1662.
Tom Papa.
Well, we've been calling this one for a couple of
I mean,
weeks
we are
now.
fully living in your fucking simulation, no doubt.
We
haven't even
weird,
brought that
right?
up yet, actually. We're like 5 days into this fucking ridiculous challenge. We didn't mention it once. We've all been eating.
Did
these
anybody
stupid-
break?
No.
I thought we were
I
going
broke.
I thought we Whoa, I wish
Actually, you got to fess up right away.
I broke.
No, not that. I want to hear you say it on the fucking show.
Oh, yeah. I said this to Matt right away. Actually, I even thought of this as I was driving home, Matt, and I thought about calling you. Maybe I did call you. I don't know. You know when we laughed at Matt when he said, so can we snack in between this?
Yeah.
That should have been the bet that was made. Not, can you go this long and only eat that food? It's stupid. It's just stupid. What we should have done is said, who can go the longest with every meal? So your 3 meals of the day.
Yeah, not having a steak in the middle. I was I said like a bag of chips,
Yeah,
a granola bar,
a
like
chocolate
something to get you
bar,
through the
something,
fucking over
you
the
know
hump.
what I mean? That's the.
Because I was miserable this week. Just a
Yeah, it
miserable
was
cunt.
horrible. Sorry, I thought you gave up yesterday, so I then immediately gave
Why
up.
did you think I gave up?
Because you posted a video that just said no. And there was
Yeah,
no picture of
I
pizza.
I thought
there
that
was
was a
no
no, Matt.
nothing.
You didn't
Matt. To me, that's George
Oh, you had the
calling up
pizza?
Kramer
I said-
and
you
saying,
missed you
"I'm
missed the
out."
pizza. There was a pizza first.
Well,
It was
I
a
didn't-
pizza
I didn't
first,
see
and then
the
me
pizza.
shaking my head saying no, like as in just I had enough of this.
Oh, I didn't
No
see
mouse.
the pizza. I just figured you were out.
No,
Anyways, just about your pizza. What kind of serial killer puts only green peppers on a pizza?
You haven't
Me.
done that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those pizzas are only green peppers?
No, one of them was just it was green pepper and bruschetta.
When you talk about Gatorade, Matt,
Yeah.
like if I was to say to you,
Yeah.
what is the flavor of fruit punch Gatorade? What would you say?
What is the flavor? What does that mean?
I don't know. That was a weird way to go about that question. I realize. Tell me about red Gatorade.
What am I, a cop? It's red Gatorade.
Okay.
First of all, I just want to clarify. Have we only talked about this on the post show, or have we talked about it in a regular episode? People may be confused that we're doing the challenge. I'm also confused that you say it's my fault. Was it my fault, or did someone suggest it?
No, what you said
Oh, no,
to the
it was
camera,
your
you
fault.
pointed at the camera and said, well, if we ever get to 100 Patreons, we're all going to eat this food for the week.
And now we're under 100 Patreons.
Well, great,
So
but we
so that-
were over it.
So, anyways, okay, it is my fault.
Yours, you know what? I should have gone steak and potatoes.
So should I, or I should have gone burrito or taco.
I should have
I've
gone
had
pizza.
many-
Every time I saw your pizza, I was like, oh my God, I need pizza right now.
The thing is, for me, is I related it back to, so everyone knows we're doing a challenge, trying to eat the same food for 7 days.
Yeah.
Simon's already cracked.
Well, but I have been eating the bread and butter.
No, but your posts are amazing.
No, hold on. Simon is never do you really show your age until it comes to content creation, because you are the world's worst content creator.
Or the best, because the simplicity of his presentation matches the meal, which he is.
No, but just for the listeners too, like his first video, he sends it to the group. It's literally, it's a baguette cut in half with butter on it. He zooms in to show you butter. And then there's a new, hold on, then there's a new video with the other side of it. Just in case, you weren't convinced it was bread and butter. And then there's a third text with a YouTube song, Bread and Butter Man or whatever.
I like bread and butter.
I mixed that together, though.
I know you
One
did.
time.
Good for you.
And I'm not going to content shame you here, Simon. I really appreciate
I
it.
don't care.
And
You guys are lucky you got a video.
I know we are. Good for playing
There
along,
you go.
Simon. Way to go.
facts. And I also like the
Cap. No cap.
the change, the variation of our presentation of this week of hell. I was thinking through it. Remember, we were talking about that guy, you got to suffer hardship. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I thought this was a good thing. They were doing hardship, but there is no payoff.
Yeah, that
Zero.
was what I said to Matt too.
Well,
Oh, no, listen, I'm
you
bringing
said
it-
on Sunday you were going to do this. You said it didn't have the same value as the
If we
field
were
goal.
if we were doing a bet,
Yeah.
the way we should have done it is said, okay, we're going to take this money that should have been all three of ours. We're going to put that on the line, and we're going to see who can last the longest,
Yes.
or whatever.
Listen,
you know?
I don't give a fuck. I spent money on those out of my own pocket. I'm bringing in those fucking hot chips next week.
No.
And some milk.
No, you're not.
Yeah, I am.
Have you seen the King and the Sting when they do it?
Yeah.
It's the worst.
You don't eat the whole chip.
No, it's not good. I'll do it. I'll do it. Not
Perfect.
for this. It's not good content. Like, I did not enjoy watching.
That's great. We listened to David Blaine throw up a frog for a half hour, so
Well,
they can watch us in pain for 2 minutes.
bacon and eggs. Like, I should have thrown in one piece of toast or whatever. It's just like.
Here's where I fouled up. I don't have the capabilities to make pizza at home. Like, I don't have a steel, not a steel. What are they?
Put some bricks on a
stone.
barbecue.
Either way, the point is like you probably got through the week on like $20.
No, I've so far spent $50 on bacon.
Okay, fine. This guy's eating fucking prison food, so there's no way he spent more than like $15.
You'd be surprised. I bought a couple of good
Splurged on
breads,
some
but
banana bread.
That was the other thing we talked about, because like we make this bet, but there's nothing on the line. But if there was, I would be looking for the loopholes, like banana bread.
Zucchini bread. I'd have no
Chocolate
way to
chip
stop
bread.
you. Yeah, I'd
Listen,
have
this motherfucker was
no way to stop
He
him.
thought he was pulling a fast one on us. I was like, I don't care if you eat fucking banana bread. Yours is the worst out of
but
all
again,
of them.
like the second you let me have sweets into the bet, it like throws the whole bet off, you know?
I've lost like 5 pounds
Oh, good for you.
because it's just eggs and bacon.
Yeah.
I have been drinking some sugar drinks, but it's
What were you eating before that was putting on so much weight for you?
I think the toast.
The bread, right.
Simon, I got up the other night like starving, turned on the oven to reheat this not great
Yeah,
pizza.
you see, that's the problem.
And I literally I looked at it and I just got up, went to McDonald's, got just a large Coke, went back home and just drank the large Coke and was like, I'm just going to bed.
Wow, that's some discipline.
It was not easy. I really wanted a Big Mac.
In any event, I thought it's cool not having to wonder what I'm eating. I mean, it's also like I've got to eat it again.
There was nothing cool about this, just by the by, and then we can get off this.
Yeah,
'cause
then
it
we're
had
on to Tom
nothing do
Papa.
with the
We're
episode.
cool about it because we're still going through it, or because he's dropped out. We all drop out.
No, he's going to continue on for the next 2 days. He slipped up. He's going to blame me for it, but
Is that where we're at?
or are we done? No, I'm going to continue on for two
You
more
guys can
stupid
do whatever
days.
makes you feel the best inside.
I
think
just-
that's what this bet is all about.
I just realized there's no point to this.
Yeah, this thing's
Un-
stupid.
Unless,
I agree, and I would hold nothing against you if you guys both wanted to have something different to eat.
well, maybe I'll crash tonight. Anyways, this is supposed to be the lion's share of the post show. Everyone else, that's why you get on the post show, anything like this. Back to Tom
You
Papa.
can see how uninteresting it is. So save your money.
I thought it was funny they started talking about Nixon right off the bat. Basically, he was the catalyst for the hallucinogens being illegal.
Yeah.
And also,
I got enough Fauci's emails like right away.
well, this is it because Tom Papa's as liberal as it gets.
I don't know about as liberal
Well,
as it gets.
He's very liberal.
Not as
Yeah,
liberal as it gets. Okay, Antifa
Is
is
he-
as
yeah, I
liberal
was
as
gonna
you
say,
get.
like, his-
but he the people who say like, and it's true, the forgiving of the incompetence of Biden or whatever, like that doesn't matter. It's just
As
not
long
Trump.
as he's not this guy.
You
Yeah.
know what I mean? That's got to run out at some point.
I feel like it's already out.
I still feel like you turn on the news and they're blaming Trump for something. So I think by year 2, Joe Biden might find himself on a hot seat, but he's still getting a lot of like.
I find like the Trump supporters want to still make it seem like Trump is in the news. You know what I mean? Like he's still part of the conversation. He's not. It's over.
He's on.
You're done.
He's on
Like, just
CNN.
get fucking over it, man.
They talk about him on CNN every day.
It's not.
I don't talk about him. But what I wanted was Trump tormenting us, or was the media tormenting us? Do you know
When?
what I
What are you
mean?
talking
I
about?
think
When?
it was a little of column A and a little of column B. Trump wasn't a
If
good
the media
guy.
hadn't followed Trump as much, would we feel like Trump is being jammed down our throat so much?
No, he went out of his way to make sure that he incited people, that he got on TV all the time. Like that was his whole shtick.
Mar, how many 70-year-olds do you know that tweet like rapid fire 26 times
I
a day?
know, but I didn't follow him on Twitter. Someone had to complain about it for me to find out about it. I just think Trump's douchiness was amplified by the media.
But can't I argue that if you didn't watch CNN as much as you do, you wouldn't hear it? Like you just said, well, I'm not on Twitter. I didn't follow Donald Trump on Twitter, so I didn't hear it. It had to be told to me.
So yes, the media amplified how shitty Trump was more than he actually is. It was just down our throat for 2 years. This Russian thing. Do you know what I mean? Like they just.
No, but I'm just saying you would like.
I guess
they
Obama
reported-
was under as much scrutiny by Fox when he was president for 8 years,
probably more. He also had this businessman saying he wasn't even an American.
and he had this businessman saying, he was
So, I mean-
but I felt Tom was saying Trump tormented us, but I think the media tormented us with Trump, and now they're sort of pulling back on Biden. I did this observation. It's not making Trump a better person or anything he did good.
I'll agree with that. But let's not be naive in saying that Trump didn't purposefully get himself out there.
Everything Trump did on purpose, but I just think it could have been treated differently.
I'm just curious though, when they storm the Capitol, at what point do you want the media to go like super easy on him?
They haven't. They're still pushing for an investigation now.
Yeah, but that's my point. Is like when something like that happens and the president stands by idly, like you want the media to just fucking.
Yeah, and 2 weeks later he got impeached for it. Like it's not like that happened and nothing happened from it.
You know what's the problem with that? And I'm not saying, but it's like it's all theater. You know what I mean? There's too much theater involved. Some of it's real for sure, but a lot of it is just like both sides using it as optics. Like how much of that? It seems crazy to me. The storming of the Capitol.
Well, how much of it was real? So you think that like 50,000 people were like paid operatives, or it was
No,
all,
I don't think it was
I'm just
paid
curious.
operatives. I think
Well,
it was
I'm
just
trying
like
to figure out
people
where
who
you're at.
wanted to protest, and then they took they just like people are fucking sheep. You know what I mean? It's not hard.
Almost like a
to
Guns N' Roses riot.
incite fucking mayhem at that point. For sure, there were people who went out there to do exactly that, and I think they knew that by doing that, they were going to convince a lot of people who had no interest in having anything to do with that to just get sucked into the fucking. That's what happens during riots and protests, and you know what I mean? People get into like this feeling of being together and for a cause.
The bottom line
you
is
know?
Trump has to be prosecuted for him to go away at this point, I think. Or people to be like
Well, they took him off Facebook, so he's gonna have
No, but they
nowhere
didn't.
left.
satisfied.
Because
I
if,
thought
he's,
they
if he's
did.
coming back in 2 years, then you didn't really do anything. In fact, I think that's making it worse.
Well, you take away 2 years of him being able to campaign theoretically.
Okay, but then you give him the best 2 years, the 2 years he needs to campaign.
I mean, maybe their thinking is by that point he'll be obsolete.
I think that is their thinking, but I think it just creates a powder keg.
Yeah,
where like in 2 years, all these fucking dormant Trump supporters just come back with a vengeance.
Well, if he really is planning on running again,
Oh,
I
of
think
course.
then that my theory, well, not my theory, the theory of him starting his own news network becomes much more viable at that point because he sees that he's not going to be able to do this the old-fashioned way.
Let's hope he doesn't run again because Tom Papa can't handle it. I thought it was interesting. Tom Papa was talking about movies,
yeah.
portraying enemies. and it's obvious why they can never portray China as the enemy. Like, but back in the day when Russia was always the enemy, they didn't have Russia saying, if you put us in the movie, you look like this, we'll not air a movie in Russia.
No, but we've been through this before, right?
No, but he was saying, why are we fighting ourselves? Why isn't there even an imaginary enemy? It's because China won't allow it to be them. Because if China didn't have the control it was, I think it'd be an easy mark. You could have movies about rising tensions with China.
Yeah, but China's smart. They know they're like the U.S.'s main export at this point is film and culture, and therefore, if we can make it so that their culture doesn't speak ill of us, then
I was just speaking that Tom Papa's asking why that doesn't happen more, and it's because China won't let it.
But didn't they just translate that to like hating Muslims?
But keep in mind, Kamar, if
Like
you go
they
back,
became the enemy,
if you go
right?
back to the early 2000s, there was a lot of movies where China was the bad guy.
Or was it Vietnam? It was more the Vietnam War.
No. I'm not talking about the war. I mean, like there was a lot of espionage movies where, like,
No, it's because China only became this power player in like the last 20 years.
They let some shit slide.
Before that, they were fucking just another country that we were getting started building an economy.
well, obviously they weren't because,
What do you mean?
well, they've obviously been a sleeping giant for quite some time. Like we just haven't noticed it because it's been very slow and methodical.
Well, not only that, we needed them to like make our economy run. So
Well, yeah.
they were willing to put their people up at, 2 cents on the dollar for labor. And they slowly built their economy, but it wasn't like maybe 40 years. I don't know. This hasn't been going on for hundreds of years.
I get it, but my point is they're like censoring of the. That feels like it's only the last like decade.
Well, yeah, this is what I'm agreeing with you. They've only had that.
and that's why
power
when you're
for a
saying
very
way
short
back, there
period
was
of
China
time.
the enemy because they didn't have the pull to
Yeah.
shut that down.
Well,
They
and
were.
I also,
They were
but the
always
problem too is
spies.
I don't think that Hollywood was selling China movies like they are now, because China was really tight knit about that. They didn't.
Even that media or whatever getting across.
That's what I'm saying. They were like, we're not showing American movies. Once they opened it up, the American market was like, this is 5 times our money. So we kind of have to play ball because think about it. Like Avengers. Avengers is a good example because we know they have edited it. It's a movie where the only way it's going to break all those box office records is with China. You cut China out and they're back to like 1998 fucking numbers, right? Where all of a sudden Avengers doesn't do as well. So they kind of have to. I'm not saying it's good, but I'm just saying for them, for the movie theaters, they're like, or the companies.
Well, I wonder if it has something to do with like, okay, so China was its own insulated thing, communist. It wasn't letting in any outside foreign ideas.
Influence.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then they open up, like I said, their people 2 cents on the dollar to do all the work for America. So they start building American things. So that brings some of us to them. And then they start wanting the things that they're making, right?
Yeah,
like
and
it's just a progression.
they become somewhat democratic.
I mean, kind of.
It-
It's not
it
really.
Well,
may-
just capitalist. Sorry, not democratic, but they're capitalists. You know what I mean? Whereas they never were before.
It may be Tiananmen Square was the turning point. I believe 2 days ago was the 32nd anniversary.
Yeah.
And that was the day China decided, fuck it. People stand up, we'll kill them all.
Yeah, and
They-
then we'll erase it from
They
history.
banned the memorials in Hong Kong.
Of course.
You see the meme? The last 6 years, the thing's been packed, and now it's empty.
Yeah.
So they are, and maybe before Tiananmen Square, they were worried what people thought of them.
apparently-
They said, fuck this noise.
Apparently, last week on Bing, not that anyone's using fucking Bing, but you couldn't search. Like if you search Tiananmen Square, no images came up on Bing. So
Well done. Well done. And so then we get to the Fauci emails.
yeah.
And Joe goes off and off and off. And Tom Papa, bless his heart, defends him all the way. Like, will not give Joe an inch on it.
Well, I think Tom was just saying, he was like, listen, like it's easy to sit here in your, air conditioned studio and talk shit about people that have to run things, but like the people that have to run things are going to piss off 50% of the people, no matter what.
But it's different when you see his emails at the time.
Oh, listen, Fauci's terrible.
If he
And who was even talking to him? What was he talking
if he,
about?
if he
Like, put it
doesn't
in
know that these were going to
context.
come out or whatever, like he was sending emails about how his sex appeal was like
Well, keep in mind, no one thinks their emails are going to get leaked.
that. This is true.
That's an obvious thing, right?
But
Like,
he would be a prime example of emails that were very important. if there was ever an investigation going back to how this was handled.
I mean, listen, I haven't read any of them and I haven't seen the dates on them, but let's assume it's like January of last year. He might not know how big this thing's going to be and that he's going to be in the limelight for the next 5 years.
Well, this is one of the things they said is there was an email telling him how big this was going to be, and he was too busy to read it.
Well, there you go. Yeah, see, so.
But I think the biggest thing that we can look at now, as I remember sitting, I believe it was in your basement, going, do you see in China they're building 10 hospitals in 8 days?
Yeah.
And we just stopped there.
Yeah.
We didn't think maybe we should build a triage site just in case that comes here.
Well, it's crazy. We were all so flippant about it. Like, nobody ever thought this could. I know people thought it could happen, but like a normal person, you know what I mean?
Dude, I got
When
deathly.
we were having this conversation this time last year, we were not. Like,
I was deathly ill December 25th of 2019.
we were not allowed to be together.
Yeah.
And I remember just being like flippant about it. Like, oh, I just caught the flu. I'll be fine. Like, who knows? I know I didn't get it, but I'm just saying, like, I was around everyone after that.
We were doing this remote, and it was horrible last year this time.
Oh, that was the
It
worst.
was just the worst. Or maybe we just got back to the studio. SARS is more dangerous than COVID.
Yeah.
That's the other weird thing that I didn't realize. And remember when SARS was happening, they had 500,000 people get together. I mean, that's going to happen eventually now when vaccinations are.
What are you talking about? It's
70%
going to
whatever.
happen, dude. All I've seen are packed arenas in the States.
Oh, in the States, it's happening. I'm just saying for us, like,
Yeah.
I can no longer look at States because I find that very depressing and defeatist, and it's giving Joe material, which we'll get to.
That's so weird because I look at it the opposite way. When I see them packed stadiums, I'm like, okay, we're getting back to normal. I don't look at it defeatist. I'm like, we're on our way.
I'm
It's-
like, they did worse than us. They're open, and we're just way too cautious here. That's how I see it. Not that there's any place I'd be going or driving.
I would always rather err on the side of caution.
Yeah, well, a year we've erred.
Listen, I agree. We should be open at this point, but
It's 2 more weeks or whatever. I'm fine.
yeah,
We're not able to eat ourselves. I thought that was interesting.
we're not able to eat ourselves.
Can't eat human flesh.
You get prion disease.
Like it's like a
Yes,
it's
okay.
like a
You meant other
A
people.
fail
though, not-
safe in the matrix.
it's just a built-in thing.
Yeah.
And that's interesting. And then he was talking about how
But
milk-
didn't we learn from Shane Smith that like they eat humans in Africa
And
all
they
the
get
time?
diseases. That's why they get mad cow and shit.
but
prion diseases.
Then we get in a fight about milk.
Cool down over there.
No,
okay?
no, I'm just telling you, like he's right. We have that's so cool how there's this like built-in fail safe to
Oh, we
make
can-
sure we don't.
We can eat other flesh,
Yes.
just not our own.
But you can't eat monkey flesh.
Drinking other animals' milk is the most fucked up thing.
Well, what Joe's
That
point
is
about
pretty fucked
it's
up.
only for children.
Yeah.
Like, all baby animals consume milk.
That's weird. If you drink milk, you're a pedophile.
Sort of.
yeah, but another animal's milk.
You
is-
just-
Well,
Disgust-
well, that's that, and
You
you wonder
disgust
how
me.
a disease could get from a bat to a pangolin, and we're here sucking on the teat of a cow or a goat.
Just hanging out on Epstein Island, drinking milk right from the teat.
Isn't it crazy though that that's what they fed us?
Milk?
No, not well. That's crazy too. No, but like that sounds like something you'd make up as like a teenager. Like just the worst excuse. Like how did this thing spread? Like I don't know. A bat at a wet market fucked a pangolin.
Check the tape.
The bat didn't.
I've
fuck
never
the
believed.
You know what I mean? Like
I've never believed this, and I've said it for like, if that's what happened, that's what happened.
my whole point of contention the whole time was, is this going to help us with this pandemic?
Oh, and just slow your China.
Always, Simon, I'm not disputing
China.
you.
Okay? My
Joe-
contention all along is that they were trying to kill their own people on purpose,
Joe dropped the
which
ball.
still might prove to be true.
Joe dropped the ball so hard when Tom goes, yeah, but I'm more into nut milk. Like that was.
Oh, if Donnell was in there, he would have
That
gotten.
was time to
yeah.
drop the fucking hammer. You sucking more dicks there, Tom?
Wouldn't that be hilarious if nut milk turned out to be cum?
From a
And
almond.
they were telling you all along you were just too stupid to see it, hippie?
Well, at least it's watered down.
They tell you right on the package it's nut milk.
Dick juice.
Comes from nuts.
Dick Goblin's dick juice.
Yeah. That's actually MDMA juice, but nobody drinks it because of the name. He really fucked up there.
Every time it gets mentioned, I gotta get it.
Just David Lee Roth.
A shout out to Robert Schimmel. He's underrated. He should be in more conversations, but he died of cancer. Tom told the story going to the Starbucks and saying, yeah, you get nut milk. because he was saying he doesn't want to drink cow milk.
Gotcha.
It was just an anecdote. But Robert Schumann, you guys know him, right?
Yeah, he put his time in.
He's very funny. Would you love to be able to see visually what you consume in a year?
I've said this forever. When I die, I think it's the gamer in me, but I always said when I die, I want to be able to visualize anything. Like, how much weed did I smoke?
Yes,
And then
exactly.
just boom, right in front of me in like an infinite warehouse,
My
there's a pile of weed. Sorry.
My wife was crunching some numbers the other day, and she looked at me and she said, "Do you want to know how much you spend on weed?" And I opened the door and walked out.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
so you don't know the answer.
And nor do I want to.
Because they're saying I guess 100 years ago, they'd consume 40 grams of sugar in a week. And now it's like 100 in a year.
Yeah.
Whatever. Just ridiculous. I'd love to see everything, though.
Yeah.
Even for a year. I like the death, everything.
That would probably be a really sobering way to get people
I
to,
think
like,
so.
stop eating so much sugar when you can see that it's like literally 4 garbage, what do you call those things? Dumpsters
Yeah.
full of sugar.
Or like a pool of vodka. Or what, like, it
It's
really
funny, though.
would make you think, wow. And actually, I don't think I want to see that at the end of the day.
I feel like
Once
if
we're
we all
seeing it now.
I feel like if we all saw it though, we'd immediately be angry as we should at the government. Like I would. I'd be like, how did you let this happen?
That's the liberal way.
Well, what's the liberal way? Okay.
Blaming someone else for problems. You know what
We have a government, Kamar. They have a health fucking department. The whole idea is if we're supposed to be healthy, then why are you letting these corporations sell us nothing but sugar? We have a government.
Because at the end of the day, you have the choice not to consume this. Now, you don't have a choice because you've been bombarded with
Dude,
media
I weigh
or
140
whatever.
pounds. So out of anyone in the room, I have the
Yeah,
least fucking. It's not like I'm some overweight fuck who's
but it'd be
complaining.
like everyone's mad at the government for letting cigarettes.
Yeah, we should have been.
Well, we are. Did a woman, a waitress, sue and win?
I don't know.
Because she was a smoker, but there has to be some accountability for us making our decisions, right?
But hold on. In our country, we have free health care.
Yeah.
That's where it gets a little dicey. Listen, in the States, I'm with you.
And so they should keep us healthier.
Yes, because it
to
lowers
lower
the
the bill.
cost for everyone. Exactly. That's all I'm saying. Listen, in the States, you're free to do whatever you want. Cigarettes are $2 a pack. Go fucking nuts. You pay for your own health care. Here, cigarettes are $25 a pack because you're putting a slow down payment on your future fucking.
But you could just be mad at your parents for not knowing it better or giving you sugar cereals or whatever.
No, but again, if they like, what are the choices when you go to the grocery store? It's mostly fucking processed garbage.
So everybody eats about 50 pounds of sugar a year. That's
Sweet
the average.
Jesus.
So those
Sweet
think about a
Jesus.
1 pound sugar bag just
Yeah.
for a second. It's about this big. You know what I'm talking about?
Of course.
So 50 of those. That is literally a mountain full of sugar.
Imagine how much Bert takes in.
Bert?
But
Bert Kreischer drinks like these tubs of Kool-Aid every day in the morning. Like a massive, it's insane.
you just hope that one of the biggest things you consume is water. And eat 25 tomatoes or whatever.
But this is
I'm
the question.
counting. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I'm counting on my sauna. Because at the end of the day, I go in there and I expunge all the bad things I consumed that day, which is many.
Keep counting.
You know what I will say, Kamar? When I moved to Vancouver, at that point in my life, I was still drinking, and I was just terrible. I'd always been terrible with money, terrible with everything. So I started, once I got sober, I started on my phone in the notes, taking down every dollar I spent. Like,
Yes, there's apps for that now.
like categorized. Yeah, but I just did in the notes. So like if it was bus fare, I added the $2.50 to the bus fare. If it was weed, if it was gambling, whatever the fuck. And again, if it was gambling and I ended up in the plus, I added that there too. But it was definitely shocking at the end of the month, some of
There's
the
no
fucking.
way to live like that, man.
Why?
There should be a certain amount of mystery and everything.
I don't think so.
Keep in mind, Simon, I never did anything about this. Like, it's never like I look
didn't
back
use-
in a
you didn't
month.
That's
use the
even
data.
worse.
No, I never used the data and was like, whoa, I need to pull back here. I'm just saying, though, it does give you some accountability when you look at it.
You just said at the beginning it'd be sobering if you could see that sort of stuff. And when you got faced with the truth, you walked away from it. So I think it would probably be positive.
Blissful ignorance, my friend.
No, show me a pyramid of Big Macs. I want to see it. Show it to me.
The only like if you're gonna change, then I'm like, yeah, for sure, show them. But if you're not gonna do anything about it,
It's
then
like I say,
like, why no?
I wish I could press an app on my phone and tell me every place I've gone because it knows.
Yeah.
And just how much I travel, where I've been going. But
But Simon, you're missing
let
the
me
point. Is I see that pyramid of Big Macs. I might not do anything today or tomorrow, but it's always in my
no, fair
fucking
enough.
mind.
I mean, smoking is the perfect example because,
You get nothing out of it.
but it probably wasn't going to hurt you in the next 10 years or 20 years even. Like you're really banking on those last 10 years or 20 years of your life not being a
absolute
horror
dog
show,
shit.
you know?
Yeah.
The worst thing is I have one of those torpedo ashtrays at my house.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
yeah. They
yeah.
collect the butt stops,
And when I have to empty that out, like all of a sudden you put a cigarette out and it
and the whole thing lights on fire.
no, it doesn't go anywhere because it's full.
yeah.
And you're like, oh my god, I can't look at
Yeah,
this.
it's
And
horrible.
and that,
Those moments were horrible. But again, I would just live in like blissful ignorance and just like smile on my face, empty that ashtray into the bag and start refilling it.
I'm sure
you know?
homeless people are coming back in the backyard and filling this up too. This can't all be me. One of the problems I foresaw in this episode is when Joe asked Tom how he survived the pandemic.
Yeah.
So this is going to be a problem moving forward for about 6 months, I think.
What are you
What
talking
is-
about?
Everyone's story is going to be basically the same. You know, oh, we started making more bread, and the daughters. I went out to I was thinking there'd be some sort of badge where we all write up what we did in the last year for the pandemic. If you really care, do the QR card over it, and you can fill it in. Because you know what I mean. I'm in the mindset. I want to stop talking about this and just move on. And obviously, it's like someone said to you, "So how's last year been?" Like, I don't want to talk about it. That's even more off-putting. But it's going to be like the same story over and over again.
And
for a
that
while.
always leads to like some fitness bullshit because everybody took this time to like, you know,
It's just something I'm not looking
get
forward
fit.
He says, looking like a fucking.
No, again, good on you. I don't need to hear about fucking Miley Cyrus's fitness routine when she comes on Joe Rogan, you know?
to. Now, this is the moment you guys have all been waiting for. Joe said we need a piece of paper to go outside the door in Ottawa
Yeah,
specifically.
He's crazy. He's just spreading propaganda. This is like he's decided.
But hold on, I want-
Canada has
Just
no
for everyone to know,
rights.
we are in Ottawa, so we would know.
I want to say this too. This is funny because when I heard that, I immediately I know how this works. Is Joe talks to someone like my dad, who is like, it's like the Gestapo up there. You gotta show papers to be out. Like, it's the ultimate exaggeration to push that narrative. It is just simply not the fucking case. Like, again, we're in a room together. I haven't shown papers to anyone all year. What he means is this. For a bit, if you wanted to go to Quebec, which is just over the border, we could drive to Quebec in 4 minutes from where we are right now. You might have had to like give a reason for being there. But I know everyone I know went golfing in Quebec
And that
this
was
week.
fucking months ago.
No, they're still kind of doing it.
Joe doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about.
Yeah, I mean, that was, I mean, it's always interesting
was
to
the
hear
first-
Ottawa
I
mentioned.
demand an apology the
First-
same way they got an apology for the forest fires.
First 2 or
And
3
if I don't
days.
fucking get it from Joe, problem.
They're having traffic jams because people are stopping. So there's 1 ounce of something that he's now made. We're in lockdown. But it feels good when he says Ottawa.
It does, but he stretched it into they have to show papers. Like, that's just simply not true. We have
He started with this religious thing that happened once.
in Calgary
And
to
then
a
that
maniac.
somehow has made all of Canada into like a Gestapo state.
This is what I'm saying. It simply is not true.
We have
Like, Kamar, you would consider yourself right leaning. Do you feel like
he does.
well, we're not, so it's fine.
No, but he for other
No,
reasons.
the only thing I feel is like at this point there should have been like I've said before, if you're scared, if you're worried, stay home. Well, programs for you. Anyone else who just wants to fucking shoot the dice, shoot
Fine,
the dice.
yeah.
That's the only thing I said.
Sure, but again, but what I'm saying though is you don't feel like we're fucking absolutely without freedom right now, or have been for the last year. Like, have you been able to go to the grocery store?
No, what Joe said was a falsehood, but I do feel this last lockdown was totally unnecessary, and it's just like, but to say Gestapo, it's like hyperbolic. I agree with Joe was 100% accurate, but like I feel like it's not as bad as he said. Whereas, you know, I would like to say we are getting fucked, you're not going anything, and the only time I feel that is when I see stadiums full of people, this and that, and whatever. But
I agree with
can
that.
we
Like,
do?
I'm sitting here too saying,
Hold on.
But I know
Just- I'm
expressing my
sorry.
opinion has made
oh, Simon
no
2.0,
friends.
take a breath.
You know that the faster everybody got inoculated here, the faster they opened up. They put a number on it. They said when 70% of the people were inoculated, they would open up the fucking doors.
Yeah. And we should have been inoculated like weeks ago.
Yeah, but you haven't done it.
Oh, we get
So
personal.
you're sitting
Okay.
on your hands. No, I'm just saying, like, you're like over
In his
there.
defense,
fucking-
hold
I
on.
don't believe that, Simon.
In his defense,
Okay, whatever.
in his defense, it's not like we had a fucking. It's not like you could just go and get inoculated. It wasn't that easy here, right? So in his defense, there's that. Like, I was on a fucking list. I had to wait, and I finally got one. So
They inoculated 30 million people in 30 days.
Yeah. Listen, I'm not saying we were good at inoculating people,
that-
but I'm saying like that was the part we could all do to get open faster.
And we can't do it fast enough because our government's incompetent. Do you see that the provincial government now is paying for ads to shit on the federal government for not closing the airports? And where's that money coming from? Everyone's just pointing fingers here.
I think that money comes from donors, which is even more sad.
I think
I don't think taxpayer money is allowed to go to ads.
when the party's in power, they can do whatever they want. But maybe you're right.
No, I'm pretty sure you can't.
That would be a good thing.
I could
In
be
any
wrong.
event, he was inaccurate with his bash of Canada, but it was nice to hear him say Ottawa.
I mean, listen, it's always nice to get a shout out. Feels like maybe he's listening.
No, like when you're watching a fucking news thing and they're talking about
Not the
serial
news.
killers in
Not the
Ottawa, do
news.
you get excited?
Not the news. That's different. But like, Lost the other day, like someone mentioned Ottawa, and I was like, hey, look at that. Getting our fucking dues.
Then they talked about the crazy race car. Do you think that's going to ruin drag racing? Or is that just
These
a-
electric cars, you mean?
They're just so much faster than these, the huge like smart cars. And
You know
stuff?
why it won't though? Because I don't think the people that go to drag races care to see that.
They just want the-
That's what I'm saying. They want that big ass fucking rear end. Like, dude, imagine just seeing two Teslas rip a drag race. Like everyone there would be like, this is not it.
I don't know if this question applies to Simon, but how do you feel about a 4-hour flight anywhere?
I feel incredible about it.
I think that's probably out of our price range.
Probably, but that means eventually it'll be affordable.
I wonder. Like the Concorde was never really affordable. It was first class.
It was
no matter
absolutely
what, you know
not
what I mean?
affordable. No.
A 4-hour. What are you talking about? A 4-hour.
He was
flight?
mentioning how they're talking about the potential that they could change air flight to where it's a 4-hour flight anywhere in the world.
Oh, I see. So there are no more 20-hour flights.
That's
It's
right.
just-
So if you want to go to Rio de Janeiro, 4 hours.
Well, no, there'll still be economy. Will be a 20-hour flight.
Yeah, but
there's
if you
going to
wanna
be
pay the
premium
premium-
if they
airlines.
let you fly over Antarctica, you can get places a lot faster. Just saying.
it doesn't affect your Ottawa to Rio, unfortunately. No. It's the same.
That's
same
my
distance.
my bucket list to fly over Antarctica.
I gotta say though, Kamar, that's like that is 100% my least favorite part of traveling. is the
Changes
fucking-
everything. 4-hour flight is perfect.
Yeah. Like, dude, Thailand was literally a day and a half with
But if it
delays.
costs $20,000, it's going to be. But if you're rich, spur of the moment as a
anywhere.
whole new
Yeah.
thing.
Dude, you
I
want to
would
go to
fly right now. If you said, Simon, private jet, let's go.
Yeah.
I would get on that private jet.
So if we had a Nelk Boys private jet,
You got it. I would fly no
and
problem.
I assume obviously if you can smoke weed on said jet, then it's obviously just we're there. Yeah. Okay.
You've never seen an Elk Boy smoke weed on a private jet?
Well, I'm making that face because I assume I would be able to smoke weed on my private jet.
I mean, for the price you're paying, you would hope that's a fucking perk of the. So that's good to know, Simon. That's actually really good to know.
Yeah, we're going to PJ.
I have that.
All it takes is a private jet.
We don't have it on video, but we have that. That's on audio. So if I can. Okay.
I think it's $3,000 an hour for a private jet.
Yeah, yeah. But that means if we hit it big, we can get Simon to Vegas
Or
in
Egypt.
3 hours.
Or Egypt in 3 hours. But I'd also do a longer flight on a private jet. I'd fly 10 hours on a private jet.
Oh, we could do
would
an-
I?
so-
No, I'd get them to land halfway and then fly again.
We have to an aircraft carrier.
That'll like stretch my legs. Oh, because over the ocean,
Yeah.
I see.
So you would go to Amsterdam then again if we had a private jet.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, this is
That'd be
getting
your
so
number one?
juicy.
No, I would go to Peru right away. That's what I
Peru,
would
not Egypt.
Peru.
Yeah, Machu Picchu.
Well, okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
And a helicopter up to Machu Picchu? Or take the bus along those mountain roads?
What about Hawaii?
Oh, shit.
Simon,
Yeah,
what about
that's-
Hawaii?
I mean, I would like to go to Hawaii, but
Shane
it's
Dorian.
not like
You've been. You know how good it
essential
is.
for me.
You've been, haven't you?
I'd
Kamar?
rather go to Europe. Europe, Egypt. I'd really like to go to like.
Listen, I'm just telling you right now, there is probably no better place on earth than Hawaii.
It's interesting because you say big time. Because whenever I think about anything, I'm thinking like, how would I survive there? Like, anywhere in America, I can't just go there willy nilly because I could, but I'd be working illegally. Like, it's not a smooth transition.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But if money's not an object for sure. Why?
Listen, if you're flying private, money is not an object.
Bora Bora, like what are we doing here?
Yeah,
Skydiving, jumping out of a plane into a net.
it's fucking insane.
Did you watch it?
No.
Because Joe says he just lands on the side. He hits it, but still.
What do you mean? He jumped out of like a plane way up high and
Yes.
he landed in a net, no parachute?
No shoot.
No shoot.
Aren't you coming down at way too much velocity?
Apparently
Well,
not.
I mean, you're always going to hit terminal velocity, but again, if you just
No, but once you hit the net.
the
oh
net,
no, you got to like flip at the perfect time,
the net's 60 feet
Yeah, the net's
above
way up
the
there.
ground almost.
and it gives you almost the whole.
And they
60
show him,
feet.
he goes up and he goes down with the parachute and just does one move where he just twists his elbow and he's on his back. So the whole thing is right before the net, twist your elbow, and so you land on your back.
I see like you're coming in so fast that you end up like your whole body just goes through the little holes of the net. You know what I
It's
mean?
not that kind of net. Simon's thinking of like a pirate net.
Mashed potatoes. No,
What kind of net is it?
No, it's like it's a
it's
fucking
one of those
obviously.
big nets, but he just sort of collects him, stretches, I thought what you thought, but no, it almost looked like it was
And
comfortable.
why did he do this? Just because?
This is why. Why? Just to say he did it.
I'd love to skydive, but the tandem, the couple of tandem jumps you got to do, just has I have no desire.
Well, the
That's kind of cool,
Two
man.
people
You
died
get
2 weeks
all
ago.
the thrill,
yeah.
but without any of the responsibility of killing yourself, you know?
but a tandem died just the other day.
Where?
Down here.
Really?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
It's super fun, and I
Here
advise it
in
to anyone.
Ottawa?
Or it might have been Gatineau, but in the
Jesus
area.
Christ.
I watched a video of these two guys colliding midair, and one of them gets knocked out, and the guy's got to like fly back to him, like stabilize him, and then pull his chute.
Yeah.
They're
Fucking
talking about
insane.
That's something I would never do. Bungee jumping, skydiving. I have zero interest. Zero.
New Jersey blueberries and tomatoes, how amazing they are. But we have in our head that New Jersey is just like a garbage dump.
Well, Newark is, but the rest of Jersey's
Almost all cities in America.
Yeah, of course,
are
yeah.
dumps.
no, but like, dude,
I've
Jersey.
driven through
But the state of New
It's
Jersey is
pretty nice.
beautiful.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
The highways are
green.
really nice.
yeah.
It's just so interesting, this ingrained thing of what New Jersey is, but it's because New Yorkers use it as a punchline.
Well, it's also because you say New Jersey is a whole state, yet they refer to Newark kind of as New
And The
Jersey.
Sopranos didn't help.
But still,
The Pine Barrens look lovely.
it just
no,
happens
but
in such
you
a
know
small
when
part.
they show like Satriels
Yeah,
and like it
yeah,
just
yeah.
looks dirty and
Yeah.
grungy and like from
Also,
another
the color
time.
grading they're
Yeah.
trying to do. Yeah, it's the,
Oh, I get it.
the look they're
But
going for.
it's-
Yeah.
They talked about, Jeffrey Toobin. But do you see there was a Canadian politician who did it twice?
I was gonna say, I had it in my notes that he got caught again.
Which is, I don't know. I think
fool me
I
once.
think you got a wee bit of a problem there, buddy.
Again, I have no problem with anybody jerking off, especially if you're in your own house. But like, just have a little bit of fucking decorum. How long was your meeting that you couldn't wait?
Twice.
I'm just talking about Tubin.
Well, here's the whole thing. If you're paying people to work from home, you have to assume they're masturbating at least once a day, right? So you're paying for at least 15 minutes of wank. Am I wrong?
Anyone who
Yeah, there's
has
a
a
built-in
salary is
jerk off
sort of
time in
paid
that
away.
salary for sure.
No, like if you're a fucking, I mean, yeah, I guess, okay.
Invisible sculpture for $18,000.
Dude, I thought to myself, I was like, I wonder how deep he took the scam. Like, I wonder if the guy was like, okay, well, I sent you the 18 grand. And he was like, okay, well, are you going to send a truck to pick this thing up? Or am I going to have to pay for transport?
It's unbelievable.
You know what I mean? Like, because you have to call the guy's bluff at that point. Like, well, I guess I'm going to send a truck. Like, how big? Dude, the bigger the better. Obviously, this thing's a mammoth.
Flatbed.
Dude, that's amazing. I mean, the true test would be when you go to try and insure that piece of art. What do they do?
Or the true
It got
test.
stolen.
No, but what do you insure it for? Like
The true test
Yeah.
would be if
the price
he
you paid
sells
for
it. Just so you know, you're gonna have to get your own truck to pick this up. And pass it along.
yeah.
But there
Dude, my
must
buddy
be-
sent me the link, and I was like, that sucks. I have 20 of those in my garage right now. Like,
there
it's
must
insane.
be like an NFT that comes with that to prove that you bought it.
You
in
bought
case
Air?
of resale.
Your Air NFT? Like, what are we doing?
The banana with the duct tape had so much more credibility.
Well, this almost gives NFTs so much more credibility too, right? Like,
thought so.
At least you could be like, I have some form
Proof
of
of stake?
something. Yeah, like there's This is just insanity.
That's exactly what I thought. I thought he made an insightful thing about performing is that why is the audience going to believe you if you don't believe what you're saying? Good advice for anyone doing a presentation.
Well,
You know what I mean?
it's almost-
So can hear on this if you don't believe what you're saying, you're just saying it.
But Kamar, I was gonna say it's like I watch a lot of like Dragon's Den and Shark Tank and shit, and like you can see when someone doesn't even really believe in their own product versus someone who's like
You can see someone who's made it out of the garage to someone who's like hooked up with someone who's
Yeah, who's-
actually the brain and sort of just trying
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, you almost you know right away like, oh, this guy doesn't give a shit about this product. Are you okay, Simon?
Yeah, man. That's one of my favorite shows, Shark Tank. Not Shark
fucking
Tank.
love it.
Dragon's Den. No, Shark Tank.
Shark Tank's better. Yeah,
I
Mark
mean-
Cuban is the best.
Our Canadian version is super fucking annoying because our
Robert Harevek is the
millionaires
worst
are the
human
worst.
alive. Yeah.
All of them are, especially
Arlene,
the
she
new breed,
sucks.
that
Oh, yeah,
guy who
they're
invented
terrible.
Penguin
They're
Club.
terrible.
You invented fucking Penguin Club.
That's why Shark Tank is the best though, because Mark Cuban is like 50 times richer than anyone else up there, and everyone that comes on wants Mark more than anyone, and I love that because they get so pissed. Like it's the best when Kevin offers someone money, and they're like, "I was really hoping for Mark. Anything for Mark?" And he's like, "No, I'm out." And then Kevin's like, "Well, fuck you. I'll give you half of what I was going to offer." Sorry, Mark, keep going.
No, I'm almost done. Longest stand-up set, 40 hours. What are we doing here?
Yeah.
No one can laugh for that long. It's just stupid and self-indulgent.
Well, it's breaking a record for breaking a record. Like, if you think about most world records, Kamar, they hold no real value other than you just saying, like, most watermelon smashed with
stand-up's
your
supposed
head.
to be funny, so if you could make someone laugh for 40 hours, they'd probably die. I just thought it was stupid. And shop talk about comedy. The best is you need a British accent to talk about rich stuff.
Yeah, the lifestyles of the rich and
Robin
famous.
Leach, remember Lifestyles of the Rich and
That's
Famous.
crazy that Epstein's house was
Lifestyles
on,
of the rich and
Lifestyles
famous.
of the rich
But
and
we
famous.
want to hear an accent tell us how rich is.
Yeah.
Look at the floor made of diamonds. I love it.
That is crazy. I can't believe that's true.
It makes perfect sense. Think about it. You're just out in the open.
And that's gall, eh? If you're doing something that you don't want people to find about, you wouldn't like go on a
No, that's how
TV
fucking
show.
that guy thought he was untouchable.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's that whole just like,
That's how, I mean, if you're working for the government, of course you feel like you're untouchable.
yeah, send Robin Leach over.
Yep.
I'll show him the rape cave.
Well, that's probably like a young
CIA agent trying to make their
CIA
druthers.
agent trying to make his druthers, and that's like his big break. He's like, "Oh my god, I got Epstein on Rich and Famous.
Lifestyles of the Rich and
I'll
Famous,
never
yeah.
have to work again."
Other than that, we had a comprehensive retelling of how he makes bread.
Yeah, no need for that. No need for that.
And I said it last time he was on, but this is the last time Tom Papa is ever to be on.
I will say this: if we are closing, are we closing?
Well, I just wanted the Tom Papa like, Joe, are you sure I should come on? Are you sure?
Listen,
I hope Tom had that conversation.
No,
I
he
still have to
didn't.
say-
he wanted to keep going.
I still have to say this was definitely, and I was dreading this when I saw it pop up on a Saturday. This was nowhere near the worst one. This had some substance to it. It wasn't terrible. Maybe I'm wrong.
No, I mean, I don't hate Tom.
Oh, we have
Papa.
a bias. We have a bias.
I don't hate Tom Papa.
I like Tom Papa.
Yeah, I like
I
Tom
just
Papa
don't
too.
need
Love the
him
Pop.
once a month.
You don't. He's
No.
way too left wing for you.
No, I listen to his podcast.
Do you really? Which one?
Something's happening.
Called him on.
What's popping?
There's no way. What's popping with Tom Papa?
Yep.
Yeah, that's it.
Actually, I should tell him that name.
Dick Goblin with Dick Gobbler.
That would be a good one.
No, he used to do these podcasts where it's like almost like radio show.
He still
We'd have some
does it.
stand up.
Yeah.
He'd tell a story. I listen to those.
Well, he does the one with Feemster.
Yep.
Whatever
Fortune
her name is.
Femster.
Who I don't care for.
I don't dislike him at all. I just don't need him to listen to him on a Saturday.
No, I hear you, Kamar. But again, you're going to get a lot of these as people transition through Texas.
I still think I stand by it. This could have been way worse. This was not that bad. There were some new talking points. I'm giving it a 3. I'll go first. Simon?
I'll give it a 2.
Fair enough.
And it gets extra points because I feel like it was part of my matrix.
Yeah, you made this happen. Kamar, what do you want to give it?
I give it 2.7. The only thing I liked about it is there was some relevance
Well, that's what I was talking about. Is there was a lot of comings
What
and
happened
goings.
a week? It
Yeah.
wasn't like it happened 2 weeks ago. And
I firmly believe that Joe owes Ottawa an apology,
I disagree with that. He can.
and it should be a video apology like the forest fires.
it'll be on Instagram soon, I'm sure. Once this drops, the word gets out.
I'll send him a message on Instagram. So that's it then, right? We just did it? Wow. What a week. What an episode. We did it. We made it. Thank you so much for listening or watching. If you made it this far, that's incredible. We love you. Thank you so much. If you want to follow us on any of the socials, we have an Instagram and a Twitter. They're both at JREE Podcast. If you want to watch us struggle through this fucking challenge right now, it's all been on the Instagram stories. So if you haven't seen it there, you've missed all of it. Maybe I'll splice together all the videos well, maybe I'll work that out. Either way, you can follow Kamar on Instagram.
At Kamar Babar.
There you go. There's a subreddit. It's r/JREE Podcast. If you want to join in the conversation, you can do so there. It's a nice little fun time. Get your voice heard. Give us your opinions. The YouTube as well. It's youtube.com/JREE Podcast. If you want to watch the show, you get to be severely disappointed by how we all look. None of us look anything like you thought. Join us there on our quest to 1,000 subscribers. We're only like 240 away. So please head over to youtube.com/JREE Podcast. Make sure you hit the subscribe. Even if you don't plan on watching, it would just help us out a great deal. And the Patreon, patreon.com/JREE Podcast. If you want to support the show, you can do so for as little as $5 a month. For that $5, you get the post show. It's the show after the show where we shoot the shit and talk about non-Joe stuff. And of course, you get the backlog of old episodes of This Won't Age Well, where we went back, we listened to old Joes, and we did what we do in the normal show. Big shout outs to BetterHelp. Go over to betterhelp.com/JREE or JREE Podcast. I can't remember. There'll be a link in the show description. Go check them out. Thank you so much to them. And I think that's it. Did I hit it all? Oh, and On It. If you're in the States, go to onit/JREE or onit/JREE Podcast. Again, I got to fucking get my shit together here. Go get yourself a free sample of something. Tell them we sent you. I think I hit it all. Is that it? Did I miss anything?
Thank you, Maddie. Once again, gratitude and appreciation.
No problem, boys. It's always a pleasure sitting down with you. Stick around for the post show if you're on the Patreon, and if not, we'll see you next week. We hope you have a great weekend, and as usual,
Keep your eyes open, peeps.